But the hero of it, at least last night, was David Ortiz. Not one, but two long balls. And the Red Sox came away with an extra inning 5-3 win. The Orioles still hunting for number one in the league. Next. It's the Orioles on Masson, and here in Birdland, the Orioles at home, and another big crowd on hand to see the middle game and next to last game, penultimate of this season at home, regular season for the Orioles. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Thorne, and welcome. Great to have you with us on another beautiful evening here in Baltimore. The Orioles will send to the mound their ace, Chris Tillman. We thought it would be interesting to take a look at some of his numbers compared to the averages in the American League for pitchers. So here they are. Chris Tillman comes in with a 12-5 mark. The team's gone 23-9 in his starts. Where does he make hay? Well, the batting average with balls that are put in play, his number is 261. The American League average, 298. So a real differential in his favor. Runner in scoring position number, well, that's 220 for him, 255 in the league, another plus. After the 0-1 count, he's right about at the average, and when the count goes 1-0, everything after that, he's better than the average, 234 to 265. Put it all together, and you've got a Chris Tillman who's had a great year.
Really has, and that started at the beginning of 2012. They sent him out, he had a great spring, but they sent him out. Second half, he was 9-3. Then last year, he won 16, only lost 7. And they've been looking for an ace. You mentioned the word ace, and as far as I'm concerned, this is the guy. And I look at guys, and I had a chance to pitch with so many wonderful pitchers, 20-game winners, Cy Young awards, and all those guys had an edge. Chris Tillman has an edge. Now, he has an edge for a lot of reasons. He's got that edge, but then he holds runners. He's a pretty good fielder. He very good self-assessor. His last start, he said, before that, he said, I'm throwing too many cutters. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. My pitch count's too high. Went out against the Yankees, gave up the solo home run to Martin Prado, and all of a sudden he's back on track. And it's great to know, because when you get in the postseason, and if I was Buck Showalter, Buck, if you're listening, start him in game number 1. He's probably going to do that anyway. But at the end of the day, he's going to handle the pressure. Started opening day. He's the guy you want on the mound. You want him on there as often as you can get him out there in the postseason.
He'll be on there tonight. You notice we have on our pens for former PR director Monica Pence. Monica, her longevity walk-run was held today. We'll tell you about it during a game. A great fundraising effort for cancer, lung cancer research. Orioles baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Without a heart, it's just a machine. And by Volvo. Test drive one today at your Volvo local dealership and experience the wonder of summer. You got a heart. I got a heart. We're not a machine. All right, let's take a look at our train game time temperature. A beautiful evening, 75 degrees, clear skies, lots of blue up there. Visit trainsearch.com to find your local train comfort specialist dealer. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Here's the Red Sox starting lineup. Betts, Bogarts, Ortiz, Craig, Nava, Castillo, Bradley Jr., Middlebrooks, and Vasquez. For David Ortiz, 11 career extra-inning home runs, including the one last night.
And take a look at Chris Tillman. A lot of fastballs. The breaking ball, occasional cutter, acts like a slider, and then the big curveball, big swooping hook, and then the changeup. That number probably a little bit lower than it was last year. But again, what did he tell us? He said, I'm going to get back to it a little bit, and he did against the Yankees. So there are the numbers. That ERA has come down progressively over the course of the season. Looks like he's one start away from doing what he did last year, over 200 innings. So again, the home runs are down. Last year threw 34 of them, 24 of those solo, 33 actually. And so he's done a lot of things a lot better, low runner and scoring position numbers, and he's facing an offense that's scoring about a run and a half lower than they did last year.
And Mookie Betts is their leadoff batter, and the delivery to him will be taken up for a ball, and we are underway. Chris Tillman against the Red Sox, 16th career start, his 9th start in this ballpark against them. He owns a 6-3 record against the Red Sox, including a 2-1 mark this year. Here at Camden Yards, Tillman against the Red Sox, 3-2, 8 starts, and a 2.72 ERA against Boston in this ballpark.
Wow.
Pitch is going to be outside, and the count will go to 3-0.
Yeah, the first two were obvious out of the zone, and that one, yeah, I mean, you can see Buck Showalter already. I mean, you come back, make a pretty good pitch, outside portion of the plate, didn't get the call.
And that's consistent with Tom Woodring, the home plate umpire. He's been a pitcher who forces pitchers to throw strikes. The hitters will generally get an advantage, and Buck's going to talk to him.
Hey, take a look at the defense, and as we will always say, there is no defense for walks. So Diaz, Jones, Cruz, Marquez still with a bruised right shoulder, so he's got the night off. Flaherty, Hardy, Scope, Christian Walker, third game here at the big leagues level, and the veteran Nick Hundley behind the plate. Didn't take much to annoy the skipper, does it?
Well, no, and he was expecting this, so he was ready in advance. Here's Bogarts. I mean, that's a strike in the outside corner. It was kind of funny. He was saying before tonight's game, he was looking at the umpiring crew, and he said, That's about it. When he was looking at Tom Woodring, the home plate umpire, worried about Tillman, whether he would get those calls that he likes to get.
Well, look where he's sitting. You tell me from that angle, if you come up a little bit and you get a little bit to our left, his right, you could probably see the outside corner.
That ball put up in the air to left field. It's going to be back near the wall and hauled in by De Aza. Good play by De Aza, who got a great angle on that. Ended up coming in a little bit even and over towards foul territory.
Yeah, I think he got it on the end of the bat. I mean, it was a changeup that stayed up, so you get the big swing. And then in this ballpark, any ball to left field, especially the power alley, you think, oh boy, this ball might have a chance to get out. It's probably a little more humidity than there was last night or even the night before. So it's a changeup in the middle of the. And again, the other thing is Bogarts is starting to hit home runs, 12 on the year, but 3 in his last 10 games.
Well, here's a man who's hitting some home runs. DHing again in the ball game. Tillman has really done a number on him in his career. Ortiz only 2 for 24 off Chris Tillman. Pitch is taken up for a ball against some of the guys in this lineup. You wonder, why are they playing?
Well, Ortiz is playing because he's 2 for 24, and he had a double, 2 home runs last night, and he's David Ortiz, so he plays. Middlebrooks, that's a good question. He's 0 for 18.
Here's the 1-0 delivery on the way. Showed bunt, and will take the pitch for a strike.
Well, I'll tell you what, after you've doubled and hit 2 home runs, one of them in the 10th inning to win it, if you want to bunt Mr. Ortiz, be my guest.
And let him play. Last night, his 6th multi-homer game of the year, his 47th of his career. 1-1 delivery on the way and a check swing, and he went around. Dana DeMuth down at third base on the call. And a 1-ball, 2-strike count from Tillman.
Gets a little bit fooled on a changeup, and this is what Dana DeMuth is looking at. So the bat's certainly out in front of the plate, traveled a long, long way. That's a double swing for Ortiz, as strong as he is.
Runner on at first. Betts with good speed. Ortiz 1-2 count. Shift is on, but not all the way around, obviously, with a chance for a double play.
Yeah, when you look at Chris Tillman, and Buck Showalter, the Orioles manager, always talks about this. You have a 6'5" pitcher throwing from a 10-inch mound. He's throwing downhill with a lot of deception. He backspins the ball, mostly four-seamers, with a big curveball and then the occasional changeup, occasional cutter. And then you have a hitter with a slight uppercut swing. A lot of times it's hard to sync those up, which is good for Chris.
1-ball, 2-strike count. Runner not going. Ortiz takes it down low. Well, the history has always been that if you have a fly ball pitcher and a fly ball hitter, advantage pitcher. And you've got that right here. Chris Tillman is a fly ball pitcher. 59% of balls off the bat hit against him have been in the air, and certainly Ortiz is a fly ball hitter. Here are the numbers this season against the Orioles. He now is the all-time leader in home runs against the O's with a 2 he hit last night. 2-2 delivery on the way, and he puts that one the other way. They were not playing there, and goodbye home run. David Ortiz delivers a 2 RBI homer after picking up 2 in the ball game last night. Talk about picking up right where you left off.
And you always talk about how do you get a guy like David Ortiz to get pitches to hit. Well, you assume because he's 2 for 24, you're just going to pitch to him. But the walk to Betts, and it's just a curveball that stays up, and then he just smokes it. The one thing about David Ortiz, when he's hitting well, so this is now 3 home runs in 2 games, he hits the ball as well to left field as he does to right.
Well, Ortiz continues to thump him. 43 career home runs against the Orioles, and 5 of them have been hit this year. Craig goes after it. That's going to go to the gap and fall in for a base hit. So Craig, who had an 0 for 4 in the ball game last night, goes after the first pitch, which was up from Tillman, and delivers the base hit. Well, the Red Sox coming out with bats alive here.
Yeah, a lot of balls up, and again, you always look at the radar gun early on for Chris Tillman. Very rarely, with the exception of opening day when he pitched against the Red Sox, does he come out throwing 92 to 95. Other than that, it's a gradual progression, and when you're throwing 89 and you get balls in the middle of the plate, curve balls up, even the teams that are struggling with the bat, they can get their hits.
And here is Daniel Nava. Nava, the switch hitter. 5-game hit streak for him, taken 4 a strike. He's had a lot of at-bats against Tillman, has gone 7 for 28. Taking a look down to third base. The signs here with Craig on at first. We've mentioned so often this season, people just do not run with Tillman on the mound. Only 3 attempts, and 2 have been caught. 0-1 delivery on the way to him, and that's going to be a base hit into left center field. Stopping at second base is Craig, and a very tough first inning for Tillman.
Yeah, that's a really good pitch, except the velocity is 89. So if you're 91, 92, it's probably more up the bat. You don't generate as much bat speed. It wasn't a horrible pitch because it was up and in, but one thing about Nava, if you go back, and you talked about it last night, Gary, he got sent out because he hit 161 in April. That's the only month that the Red Sox were at 500 or above. So he got shipped out, and he missed most of May, and since then 313, 349, this month 302, so he's actually hitting.
See, the ERA, the first inning has been a big bugaboo. 19 runs in the first inning coming in. Add 2 more to that on the home run by Ortiz. Castillo will foul that one off the mask of Nick Hundley. Well, the Red Sox had opportunities in the ball game last night as they left 6 on base and had a big 0 for 1. with runners in scoring position and still won the ball game.
Because they out-homered the Orioles.
Yeah, that's right. Haven't said that very often this season.
Well, they came in with, what, 112 home runs? Orioles have 199. One away from the magic 200 number.
In the dirt. Hundley will make the stop on it.
Well,
2 on for Boston and 1 out.
When you look at how you would approach hitting Chris Tillman, and that's why I think the runs are up, because the velocity is down early. You eliminate the curveball till he throws it over, and as good as his curveball is, it's a low percentage pitch for him. Even last year when he won 16, it's below 50%. It's down in the low 40s. So they're all looking fastball, and that's why the changeup's so important.
Chopped that one foul at the plate, and Rusney Castillo with a 1-ball 2-strike count. Came up from AAA on Tuesday, of course. One of the interesting players out of Cuba that the Red Sox are going to be counting on to play regularly next season. But very little baseball this year. Only played in the minor league games. Only got 11 of those in. 1-ball 2-strike count. Tillman looking for a ground ball here with the infield set for 2, and that's fouled back into the screen.
Well, you talk about it in the opening. The one thing that and all the Oriole pitchers do, especially the starters, their runner in scoring position as a team is about 225 for the starters, and Chris is at 220. So it's these moments. You've given up 2 runs. That's more than you wanted to on the home run by Ortiz. He needs to get some outs, and that's what the playoffs going to be about.
1-2 delivery, and that will be up high, and the count will go to 2-2. Like Showalter announcing today that whoever the starters are going to be, he wants them to have an extra day's rest going into the playoffs. So each of the starters, and they've mapped it out but haven't announced it, will have an extra day's rest the rest of the season before postseason play. 2-2 delivery, foul tipped, held on to by Hundley, and he gets the strikeout in the big one.
Now, this is really pretty much what his season's been about. So all of a sudden we've seen 89, and this is 92. Outside third at the plate, little foul tip, big swing, and then right into the mid of Hundley. So a much needed out.
Now Jackie Bradley Jr. really struggling at the plate. Had an 0 for 1 in the ball game last night. 1 hit in 28 at bats in the month of September. John Farrell's team has really had a hard time trying to put a lineup out there with some bats that are hot. Bradley, runners at first and second base, and now 2 down, and he'll take it for a strike.
Yeah, that's the way his at bat started last night. They called the ball about 4 inches off the outside corner. Woodring so tight to Betts to lead off the game, and that ball looked like it might have been a pitcher's pitch as far as giving him a gift. Ball looked like it was off the plate a little bit. So there you go, strike 1.
Craig and Nava, the base runners. 0-1 delivery, and he'll go after another one that's down low, and a 2-strike count from Chris.
Yeah, when you stand on the third base side of the rubber, and that's where Chris is, and his angle to where he's trying to throw the ball to Bradley is a lot easier than getting the ball away from the right-handers.
Tillman 0-2. Trying to hold him right here. 2 runs in the first inning. Way up high. Base runners aware Chris has 8 wild pitches on the tallies this season. 4 hit batters. Keeps the catcher moving around. 1-ball 2-strike count. Outfield pretty much straight away. No breeze here at the ballpark tonight at all, at least at the start of the ball game. 1-2 delivery, and Bradley way late on that one, and Tillman gets a couple of big Ks. 2 runs in on the Ortiz home run. The Red Sox take the early lead. been all week with some great signage, and love to see it with the kids. And they got the caps on that were given out today here at the ballpark. Take a look at the Orioles starting lineup, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Without a heart, it's just a machine. Deaza, Young, and Jones, Cruz, Hardy, and Walker, Flaherty, Hundley, and Scope. This month for Nelson Cruz, more big offensive numbers. 15 runs batted in.
And Ruby De La Rosa, a lot of fastballs, a lot of changeup. Loves a changeup. Yeah, fastball, he can probably pitch at 92, 93, could get in the middle 90s. Changeup can be anywhere from 84 almost to 90. So struggling lately, 1-5 in his last 6 decisions, and so you can see the numbers really aren't that bad. The one number again, and even the runner in scoring position number, a couple of points over the league average.
Deaza leads it off and takes it for his strike. Alejandro continues red hot for the Orioles. What a job he's done since coming over. He's hitting .352 with the Orioles. He's had 19 hits and 54 at bats, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, 3 triples, and 4 doubles. Now, I don't care how much thought you were getting, you couldn't possibly have believed it was going to look this good.
Well, he's done everything. You know, you got a guy on first, he's been able to pull the ball in the hole. He can steal some bases, pretty good defender, can hit home runs. He's been a double, triple, extra base hitter machine.
And hitting where he did with the White Sox in that leadoff spot for the Orioles. Nick Markakis continues out of the lineup for the Orioles. And as Buck Showalter said before the game today, that shoulder where he got hit by a pitch is very sore. He's going to be out 3rd straight game tonight. And that pitch got him on the right shoulder against the Jays on Tuesday, and it still hurts. 3-1 delivery on the way, and that's outside. So tit for tat. Both leadoff batters in the game have walked.
Let's take a look at their defense. Nava, Castillo, Bradley Jr., 13 assists in right field, even though he's played mostly in center. Middlebrooks, pretty good defender when he's healthy. Bogarts, Betts, Craig, and then Christian Vasquez. Looks like at least they pencil him in as the receiver of the future. Needs to get a few more hits, but very good defensive throwing catcher.
Delman Young's batting second. Steve Pearce was supposed to be in the lineup playing first base tonight and batting second. He is not. He got pulled late after batting practice, dealing with some tendonitis in both wrists that landed him on the DL last year, have acted up on him again. So precautionary. Pearce not playing tonight. Wrist problems. And that has to be, I mean, all of this at this point is so close to the postseason. Everything like this becomes a real concern.
Yeah, you have to wonder when on the air that slide, that awkward slide into first, which was a terrific slide, but what kind of crash landed and may have fallen on one or both of the wrists.
So Delman Young moves to the number 2 spot as a DH. There goes the runner. Deaza throws on the money, and he's out.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, the Oriole bench coach, and that's now what, 13 out of 27 for Christian Vasquez. But John Russell says if you get rid of the ball, you could even bounce it. And that ball right on the line, I mean, a short hop, and then, of course, your second baseman, I mean, that's the key right there. You can see Betts catch it. Boy, I'm not sure if he wasn't safe. Now, the throw beats him, but I'm not sure he tags him. He tags the chest.
Ball's in play, so there'll be no challenge. There's a caught for the 10th time, 17 stolen bases, 10 times out.
Yeah, he's actually safe. That's probably one of those plays in the postseason you might really look at a little closer.
Yes. Agreed. So Delman Young, a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Orioles DH goes up the middle. It'll be played a 3-hopper. Bogarts will get him. So 2 down here in the first inning.
Yeah, John Russell talking. What he likes about Christian Vasquez behind the plate is that he calls a good game, and you know he's young and he's sure he has to hit, but Vasquez may be on this ball club if they can get some other guys. He may be the kind of the Mark Belanger where you have a great defensive catcher and you just hope that you can get offense somewhere, and then he will mature as a major league hitter with, you know, a number of at bats.
Here's Adam Jones. Adam did not play in the ball game last night. He's got a 1 for 3 off De La Rosa. Adam hitting .364 against the Red Sox this year with 2 home runs. And he will take the pitch down low for a ball. Continuing to rest players on a daily basis. We're keeping a couple of the starters out. And that will continue into the final week of the season by Buck Showalter. Hit hard to third, but a one-hopper right at Middlebrooks. He's got it. And that'll do it. No runs, no hits, no errors, and we've completed 1 on this beautiful evening in Baltimore. Red Sox lead. Forward to Miller time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Fan Appreciation Weekend as the Orioles wrap up the home part of their regular season. Knit cap night, 20,000 fans, the first through the gates. Got the Orioles knit cap. You'll see those around the ballpark tonight. And a number of Oriole players were out handing those caps out at the different gates, taking turns doing that. Tomorrow, Chris Tillman, bobblehead day. Shirts off our back promotion, of course, so the Orioles literally do that. The Bob Feller Award, Valor Award. Darren O'Day is going to receive that tomorrow. And the announcement of the most valuable Oriole will be made as part of Fan Appreciation Weekend tomorrow. It's all coming up on the final game of the regular season at home. Here is Middlebrooks. Will Middlebrooks had an 0 for 1 coming in the ball game late last night. As we mentioned earlier, 0 for 18 against Chris Tillman. Vasquez and then Betts at the top of the order. And that pitch is going to miss down low for a ball. Tillman's 5th start against the Red Sox this season. He's 2-1 this year. He had a 1-0 loss, his first loss this year when not getting any runs. Pitch will be taken outside. He's had mostly tight ball games against the Red Sox, and in fact, as we mentioned last night, the games have been tight. Well, the Orioles own the season series 10 games to 7. There have now been 9 games, 9 decided by 2 or fewer runs, and 2 extra inning ball games.
Wow.
Pitch is way outside. Yeah. He walked him again. Well, the leadoff man on twice with a walk. Take a look at our Jeep Inside the Numbers regarding Chris.
Yeah, so obviously pitching a lot better. I mean, everything down, ERA down, wins up 5-0. I mean, last year it was June where he went 5-0. This year 4-0 in July. And then the other thing is in the last 10 games they've also scored 58 runs in the games that he started. So early on did not get that kind of run support, and boy, it's great when you pitch well and they also support you.
Here is Vasquez. He'll show bunt on the pitch that's going to be outside. Vasquez had an 0 for 4 in the ball game last night. Red Sox catcher, 24 years old, hit .263 over some 6+ years at the minor league level. Not a power hitter. Had 18 one year, but that was really exceptional. In other seasons at the minors, home runs were in single digits. 1-0 delivery on the way, and another one that's going to miss outside, and it goes to 2-0 as Tillman struggles with the strike zone.
Yeah, just the release point. Again, way over on the third side of the rubber. So if everything goes left and you're way over there, it is very hard to get the direct line. You're already off the inside corner. I mean, if you took a direct line from his right toe and went, you'd probably be right at the line of the right-handed hitter's batter's box. So everything has to sync up.
Swing and a miss as he came back a little on that one, and a 2-1 count.
Really good changeup. It tells you how, I mean, Vasquez can't be looking for it. He thinks it's a fastball. That's how good a changeup it was, and gets tricked on the arm speed.
2 ball, 1 strike count at first base. Middlebrooks, not a big lead, being held by Walker. Christian will take the throw. Runner almost on the bag on that one. Two and one. Don't you do that at home when they don't work?
Yeah,
I'm talking about our TVs here. They're not working, so you hit them.
You smack them.
You just smack them. You hit them with your fist, and the TV works. It's an amazing thing. Here's the 2 ball, 1 strike count, and the pitch down the line will go foul.
Yeah, so you can see when we saw it in the first inning, curveball up. That's what Ortiz hit into left center field for the home run, his third of this series. Well, a lot of pitches up. And then the other thing is you just don't want to be behind hitters, and so far, and that could all change, but that's pretty much what the MO has been through the first 2 innings.
First time through the order here, he has had 5 first pitch strikes to the 9 Red Sox batters who have been to the plate against him. Middlebrooks, the lead at first. 2 ball, 2 strike count on Vasquez. And he will take the pitch outside, and the count is full, 3-2. Now the Orioles still chasing the Angels, of course, for that #1 record in the league. They both lost ball games last night, so the Orioles still 2.5 away from the Angels for the #1 record in the American League to guarantee themselves home field advantage as far as they go. 3-2. See if the runner goes. Nobody out. He does. Vasquez swings and misses, and that throw is there, and he is out. And a strike him out, throw him out, double play as Hundley got it there in plenty of time.
Yeah, not a lot of speed for Middlebrooks. He's a home run guy, so you finally throw a strike. Actually, it's a ball, but Vasquez, as we told you, and then talk about rough landings. We had a lot of air turbulence last night. Again, the skies must be rough, so boy, you're wondering. Tags him on the knee before that right hand gets in there. Boy, you're seeing with challenges now how important it is to be able to sustain the tags. You know, used to, and we saw it early on with Diaz, if you just track in the old days before the challenges, just get the glove down, you're out. You know,
the
now,
old plays.
yeah, exactly. And you know, now you got to tag him. You have to, and you do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you don't tag him before he gets to the base, or he comes off the base once he's safe, we've had all kinds of plays turned around this year, and that's the way that they're getting taught.
Yep. So they get that one, and that eliminates that leadoff walk. 2 down here in the second inning. Betts had the walk in the first inning and scored. Hundley throwing out 18% of base stealers on the season. 1 ball, 1 strike delivery on the way. The off-speed pitch is going to be outside, and the count goes to 2-1. That's a very risky call for the Red Sox. Middlebrooks not able to run very well, and Vasquez not hitting very well.
Well, I think that when you're not scoring a lot of runs, 3.8, you just hope that he puts the ball in play. Now he didn't. You know that Middlebrooks, I mean, it's kind of a hit and run, or a run and hit because of the count. If you're John Farrell, you assume that Tillman's going to throw a strike. That's what he usually does. You don't want Middlebrooks to get picked off. He's not going to steal bases, and you just hope you get a guy to put it in contact.
He got him. So 4 strikeouts in the ball game, 2 in this inning, and only 3 batters face. Red Sox lead 2-0. To do so, this is Corporal Gregory Porter. 6 years U.S. Marine Corps, Afghanistan 09. They captured his platoon involved in the capturing of 39 Taliban fighters going from Pakistan to Afghanistan, and awarded certificate of commendation from the battalion commander for those actions. We welcome him to the ballpark. Gregory Porter, Corporal. And a big hand for him between innings. We go to the bottom half of the second inning. Cruz, Hardy, and Walker will be due up. De La Rosa's pitch will miss for a ball. 7-game hit streak now for Cruz, as he went with the 3 for 5 in the ball game last night. He's hitting .429 during the 7-game hit streak. Puts that one up in the air to right field. And I mean up, waiting for it. Bradley just kind of wandering, waiting for it to come down. One away. Maryland Lottery contestant for tonight, Ronald McDormand from Brooklyn. $500 for being selected, $500 more for every Orioles home run hit. With all the home runs this season, the lottery's awarded over $150,000 to its contestants. Play the Orioles scratch off for a chance to win up to $60,000. Find out more at mdlottery.com/Orioles. Hardy back in the lineup after getting a rest in yesterday's ball game, keeping track of that lower back, which has been a bit of a problem. 0-1 delivery, and he is 1-3 against De La Rosa. De La Rosa against the Orioles, he is 0-1 this year and 0-2 in his career. He took a loss back in June. The Red Sox were shut out in the ball game, and that pitch is going to be a little bit inside. His lifetime mark against the Orioles is 0-2, and both losses, both games he's pitched, have been here at Camden Yards against the Orioles, giving up 5 runs, 8 hits, and 6 1/3 innings here in this ballpark. Ball off the end of the bat, heading over towards the seats, and that will be out of play.
Yeah, and he doesn't really care about the count. I mean, that's why he's going to use the changeup. And the one thing he does have in common with Alan Webster, Alan Webster pitched a good game, and I think he's going to have a little success because maybe even, in fact, a much better changeup than De La Rosa. But his changeup last night was really good. So you can kind of envision, fastball for him was 90 to 94, and he had a couple of good breaking balls.
2-2 delivery on the way. Hardy will take it.
Well, you can see right there, I think that's a slider. He's getting under everything. So, but again, it's hard to tell.
There is Nick Markakis resting that shoulder where he got hit by a pitch on Tuesday. You'd hope to be in the lineup tonight, but Buck Showalter saying just doesn't feel well enough, and we don't want to take any chances. 3-ball, 2-strike count on Hardy, with Walker waiting on deck. There is Steve Pearce in the lineup tonight, then taken out at the last minute with the wrists bothering him. And that one's going to be nubbed foul at the plate as Hardy battles on. Buck Showalter talking today about obvious discussions going on regarding potential rotation for the postseason, the first round, not knowing who they're going to play yet. Makes it a little tough. 3-2 delivery and walked it.
Yeah, you're right about the tight strike zone.
Not going to get a lot of calls. The American League East Division champion Orioles battling for home field advantage. Tomorrow at midnight, your last chance to place a deposit on 2015 full or partial season plans to guarantee your tickets to attend home games 1 or 2 of the ALDS and other games throughout the postseason as the Orioles advance. So don't miss out. Deposit deadline Sunday midnight. Go to Orioles.com/postseason. Here is Christian Walker, slated to have the game off as a starter, but back in there with Pearce out. So Pearce was going to play first. Walker takes his place defensively and hits further down in the order. Had an 0 for 4 last night.
Yeah, I got the double, his first major league hit the night before. So 53 extra base hits, AA, AAA. That's a bunch.
Pitch to him, close to the outside corner, but again, not going to get it. Walker playing in his 3rd game. He's had 7 at bats, 1 for 7. 3 strikeouts, no walks as he gets his major league career underway. And a 2-0 count.
You can see Vasquez saying, shake your head, just so maybe if we're throwing a fastball, Walker won't think that, or maybe not.
2-0 delivery on the way, and that'll be down to third and foul off the glove of Middlebrook.
So there's a 2-0 changeup. I was talking to Don Orsillo, who does the play-by-play, and then Jerry Remy, longtime player, and he said loves his changeup. And why not? Pretty good movement. Juan Nieves knows, but you don't want to be going 2-0, 2-1 on everybody.
He gets hit hard. I mean, De La Rosa's numbers, while the ERA of 4.31 is decent, he gives up more hits than innings pitched, 108 hits in 96 innings, has walked 33, so he's always working out of the stretch. On the road, he's struggled. 1-4 record with a 5.1 ERA. And that one's fouled off, and Walker has an extended at bat, just as Hardy did. Count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. De La Rosa at the age of 25, 8 wins, 14 losses in his major league career.
Yeah, and I think the problem for the Red Sox is as they look at Workman, as they look at Alan Webster, if they look at a lot of their guys, is you want to pitch better now than you did early, and that's not the case here.
That's going to be a base hit into left field, hit hard. Barreled that one up, and Walker is on. Hardy will go to second. The Orioles 2-1, 1 down.
I think what happens is, Gary, is that if you throw a changeup in the minor leagues, not that Walker had a problem, a lot of guys will swing through it, but you can't leave in the middle of the plate here in the big league level, even with some of the better minor league guys coming up at the end of the year, and that's what that pitch was, and it got hit hard.
And you got a home plate umpire who's not going to give you the benefits, so you got to figure out how am I going to get these strikes by hitters. Here's Ryan Flaherty now as the Orioles put a couple of hits up on the board, a hit and a walk, 2 runners on, and the pitch will be inside. Flaherty's getting the start at third base in this game. That's a position for the postseason the Orioles got to take a long look at. Who's it going to be? Paredes has shown a problem with the glove out there, even though he's got the good bat. Kelly Johnson's got a lot of experience.
Made one of the errors on a throw. Paredes with the glove last night.
And Flaherty now gets a start, his 24th start at third, as Ryan continues to move around the infield with starts at second and third and short.
Now he says that he probably feels more comfortable at shortstop if he gets to play, and he did when Hardy had the back spasm, but he's played very well at third.
That ball's going to be a base hit into right. Hit so hard, Bradley will get it in and hold the runner at third. And the Orioles load him up as Flaherty delivers a base hit.
Yeah, everything, if you get ahead, you can pitch off the plate. If you get behind, then all of a sudden you have to come back to the middle of the strike zone, and that's what's happening. I mean, you can see all this stuff just outside middle. I mean, Flaherty, much better hitter out over the plate. You can see how close to the plate he stands, and then big mistake here. He hits it so hard, and as we mentioned, Bradley already with 13 assists. We saw Castillo. He thwarted a rally last night with a great throw from center.
So big chance here with the Orioles trailing by a score of 2-0. That's their second hit, and Hundley comes up with the bases loaded. He is 2 for 2 against De La Rosa. Sacks are full, and the pitch is in there for a strike. Let's see what the Orioles can do with this one.
Well, what you like about this situation, and you always talk about it, okay, get a ball in the air. Don't be until you get to 2 strikes swinging at a pitcher's pitch, and try to elevate a ball. You can make an out and still score a run. I mean, you can see he's got a good arm. 94 now, 96. But he doesn't pitch, he doesn't pitch at that level very often.
No. Hundley's gone 0 for 2 with the bases loaded this season. The Orioles last night were 3 for 10 and left 7 on. Still second in the league, and runner in scoring position average at 272 behind the Tigers. 1-1 delivery on the way, and that'll be down the line and foul. Boy, they're jammed in here tonight. Big crowd on hand to watch the division champion Orioles play. The final home game of the regular season tomorrow.
And the other thing, if you're John Farrell, former pitcher, you manage the ball club. If you're Juan Nieves, a pitcher coach, now what does he do? Can he get a strikeout? What pitch does he have that's going to allow him not only tonight, but if he does become a starter, what pitch can he get strikeouts on?
1-2 to Hundley. Nick will take it up high, and the count goes 2-2.
And he overthrows it. I mean, there's some talk that he might even down the road be a closer. But it still applies. Can you throw ground balls like Britton? Can you strike people out like other closers? And you can see right there, Juan Nieves looking at Sparrow, but he said, boy, did he overthrow that pitch. Almost jumped at Nick Hundley.
Hundley asked for the timeout as De La Rosa was going to the stretch position. De La Rosa, one of the big numbers he's had when people get on base. Runner in scoring position up to 264. About 10 points higher than the average. 2-2 delivery on the way. Hundley will take it. And again, there's one of those pitches. If you're a pitcher, you're hoping. But not going to get it.
Now take a look. Now, I just look at the glove. And anytime he brings it back about 3 or 4 inches, it tells you it was off the plate.
De La Rosa, we talked about his late struggles. He's been 1-5 with an ERA of 5.7 in his last 10 starts. Had a real good beginning. First 7 starts, 2.64 ERA. 3 ball, 2 strike count. Bases loaded, 1 out. Down to third and almost picked off Hardy. Little dance on that one as that ball was stung.
Wow. Well, you can grin about it. So you can see him in foul territory. I might have got a little bit of his leg. I mean, if you're in fair territory and you get hit, let's see. I think it did hit his leg.
I think it did too.
I mean, you did everything right except it's hit so hard you can't get out of the way.
So 3-2. Nobody's had a hit with the bases loaded against De La Rosa this year. 0 for 7. And not going to get one there as he threw another one that's throttled off the 94-95 mile an hour pitch.
Yeah, we told you he loves his changeup. Yeah, not a great pitch, but the deception, 88. And Hundley out in front. You can see him just pull it. I mean, it's almost like a palm ball. Got the 3 fingers, almost circle change. So again, sometimes it's not always about location. It's about deception.
That is the first strikeout picked up by De La Rosa in the ball game. Now there are 2 down, and Jonathan Schoop had a 1 for 4 in the ball game last night. Scope's got a 3-game hit streak. Sacks full, 2 away. De La Rosa's delivery to him up high for a ball.
Yeah, there's going to be a time in Jonathan Scope's career when he gets about maybe 1,000, 1,500, maybe hopefully better, that right here he'll look on his terms till he get to 2 strikes, which is what Frank Robinson told him when they came in for the 60th anniversary, and he'll actually take a walk. It's hard to walk Jonathan because he's a very aggressive hitter.
1-0 delivery outside, neither close. 2-0. Jonathan's had 11 chances with the bases loaded. He's had 1 hit, a double in these situations this year.
So to kind of interpret what Frank Robinson told him, and you know, a guy that's in the Hall of Fame with 586 home runs, he said he owned the first 2 strikes. So De La Rosa's in trouble here. Got the bases loaded. He's behind Schoop. Look for your strength. And that's up and out over the plate. Take anything else. Don't be swinging at a pitcher's pitch.
2-0 delivery on the way, and that's a heater. He went after him at 94, up in the strike zone if in it, and it's 2-1. He came back to challenge on that one. Schoop hitting only 167 this month. He's gone 9 hits and 54 at bats with 3 home runs. 2 ball, 1 strike count. Hardy, Walker, Flaherty on the base pass. 2-1 delivery on the way, and that was not a strike.
Yeah.
And it's 2-2.
Now the difference between hitting 2-2 and 3-1, it's huge. The numbers certainly support that. Just, you know, a young hitter, 22 years old, aggressive. I mean, the ball looks pretty good, but well out of the strike zone.
Well, that'll even it up. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 down. A walk and 2 singles, loaded them, 1 away. Hundley struck out. And now 2-2 on Scope. De La Rosa makes him wait a while at the plate. 2-2 delivery. So they're full with 2 away. That will allow Walker at second, Flaherty at first to be on the move. Hardy down there at third. Big moment early in the game. Red Sox lead 2-0, second inning.
Yep, you could see, I mean, everything up in the zone, out over the plate.
Here's the 3-2 delivery, and he struck him out. Down and in.
Yeah,
fabulous big strikeouts here. And the Orioles, no runs, 2 hits, and leave the bases loaded. Red Sox lead it 2-0. Is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Without a heart, it's just a machine. And by Luna, the beautiful new carpet, hardwood, and laminate. Call 877-241-LUNA. Gary Thorne, Jim Palmer here in this gorgeous night as the Orioles, second game of this series against the Red Sox, finish up the home part of their schedule tomorrow. 1 o'clock goes extra, 1:30 for the ball game. Miguel Gonzalez, Joe Kelly are the scheduled starters. The Orioles have one starter name for the New York 4-game set. That's the opener, Wei-Yin Chen against Michael Pineda, and then Nick Showalter will see. Chen on the right.
Yeah, Gonzalez way on the left. He'll pitch tomorrow, and then Gosman, who pitched last time. Yeah, did have that little nail come up.
Yes,
it really didn't bother him, but he knew it was there. So that means to me, as a former pitcher, since the ball does come off your fingertips, it's hard to ignore. He was a little disappointed. I said, "You made 2 bad pitches." He said, "Yeah, but too many
to the wrong guy." And that off-speed delivery is going to be up high, and the count goes to 1-1. There's the Band-Aid on the blister, what Buck Showalter called a blood blister, while admitting I'm probably extended my training knowledge a bit too far in calling it that. Bogarts will take it.
Well, you get calluses on your pressure points, whether it's your thumb or your finger, and Nolan Ryan was notorious, and then he actually found some vitamin that you put on, but he was using pickle juice, and you had to file your nails just perfectly and things like that. Otherwise you get those, and then they do become blood blisters, and then they become blisters, and then it hurts, and it affects the way the ball comes off your finger, and they're really difficult to heal because you have to keep throwing, and you can't put tape on your fingers. That's illegal.
Yep. 2-2 delivery on the way. Bogarts, who flied out to left, keeps it alive, fouling it off. Bogarts now 2 for 12 with a home run lifetime off Tillman. Third inning. Red Sox needing their 67th win in the ball game last night, and that will be taken outside. So missed with that and a full count, 3 balls 2 strikes. Pitch count continues to climb for Chris Tillman. Got helped out in that last inning with that strike him out, throw him out double play, and that ball will be punched back and foul.
Yeah, 4 strikeouts. I mean, 4 of the last 5 guys, and he just struck out with a walk to begin last inning, and then as you mentioned, the 3-2. You run Middlebrooks, you throw him out, and you get yourself a double play.
Bogart's 3-2 delivery, a chopper to second. Jonathan Scope was moved over towards the bag, and will get the out. Orioles headed to October. Be there for 1-hour postseason editions of O's Extra before and after every game. Follow the Birds on Twitter at Masson Orioles for news, game updates, and chances to win prizes. Masson, your maximum Orioles postseason network. Now just a question of who's going to be there to play the Orioles. Tigers, KC battling for the Central Division, and the loser of that probably a wild card team, but boy, it's up for grabs.
Yeah, the other club that they want to almost kind of ignore is the Mariners. Mariners have a heck of a chance to get in. It's like, I mean, you got a great race. Well, Kansas City's now lost 2 in a row to Detroit.
Foul back.
So they're 2 back in the loss. They still have that suspended game. They play another one tomorrow. Mariners are on the road, but they end up at home.
It's going to go down to the wire. Don't think there's much question unless somebody reels them off, which actually is what Detroit is doing right now. They're the team reeling off some wins. David Ortiz delivering the home run. This time we'll get that one into the shift. Scope from right field. We'll throw him out, and they're 2 down. You take a look as we come into our ball game tonight with some day games having been played today. The wild card standings. Oakland, with the victory last night, has again moved up to take that top wild card spot. Seattle and Kansas City have identical records now, 83 and 70. The Indians, New York, and Toronto are all miracle hopefuls, with Cleveland 4 games out.
Yeah, the amazing. I look at a number I just saw this morning when you're doing your scorecard. The A's have lost 15.5 games to the Angels in 39 days by going 11 and 25, and the Angels meanwhile are playing well. I mean, that's just mind-boggling.
Ground ball to the hole, knocked down. Flaherty, I want to play in the postseason at third. Then missed throws to first. Walker can't scoop. Good play with the glove, bad play with the arm.
Yep, plenty of time. All you got to do is get your feet under. I mean, that's not always easy to do. Right there, a perfect play, and he did everything right, but then he throws a sinker. And the ball, look how far out it bounces, and it stays down. I think Christian Walker hoping it would stay up a little bit. So a nice play to get to it. Going to be an error because he had plenty of time to make a good throw. He did everything right except make a good throw. Didn't rush it. Didn't do any of those things.
So the Orioles 3 errors in the ball game last night. They pick one up here. That'll be the 8th error on Flaherty this season. So it keeps the inning alive. Should have been the 3rd out. Nava a single. Extends his hit streak with his first at bat, and will take the pitch down low for a ball. Nava is a switch hitter, 164 right, 291 left-handed. With all 4 of his home runs coming from this side of the plate.
Yeah, as he did last year, had his best year ever. Over 300.
1-0 delivery to him. That's going to be there. Laid it in for strike 1-1. So Tillman, all of these are extra pitches that you hate to throw if you're on the Orioles side of things. And Tillman should have been back and sitting down.
Yeah, normally he's in between 16, 17 pitches an inning. And
1-1 delivery on the way, and that's going to miss. 2 ball 1 strike count. Nava last year against left-handers hit .252, and against right-handers hit .322 against right-handers. So I mean, this is his best side of the plate.
And it's all the power numbers. Check out the power numbers.
2-1 delivery on the way, and a broken back ground ball is going to go to first. Played to the bag by Walker, and the error will not cost the Orioles a run. One left on. Red Sox have the early lead. Very big addition to the Orioles, it looks like. Never stop improving. It's brought to you by Lowe's. It's Alejandro De Aza.
Yeah, and part of that is the fact that last year, in a year where he had 264 with 17 home runs, he had over 300 against lefties. This year he was hitting 111. Now the numbers go down, but with the Orioles you never know that. He hits lefties, righties. And again, as we mentioned, he will bunt, he will conceal some bases, and even, I mean, the last couple of years, over 20 stolen bases or more. Also over 20 doubles.
De Aza drew a walk and got caught stealing in the first inning. In at third base is Middlebrooks. De Aza will take it for a strike. We're talking about Seattle in the mix. Houston's got a 5-1 lead over Seattle and Chris Young early in that ball game tonight. Don't have room anymore with the final week of the season coming up for any of these ball clubs. Here's the 0-1 delivery on the way. De Aza will lean back a little bit on that one. De La Rosa, he's hit a couple of batters, 3 wild pitches. This is his 18th start. And that 4-7 mark that he's got. Middlebrooks stays in. 3 steps on the grass at third base. 1-1 delivery on the way. De Aza fouls it back.
Well, in between innings, John Farrell was talking to Ruby De La Rosa, and it's almost like if you read his, and John being a former pitcher and pitching coach, and now the manager said, you know, early in the game, if you show him 94, 96, he'll make that changeup even better. But he got his 2 strikeouts when it really mattered with the bases loaded.
1-2 delivery, foul back. He's a pitcher moving into unknown territory as far as innings pitched are concerned. He's thrown 156 coming into this game combined between Boston and Pawtucket, the AAA team. Previous high had been 110. Though he's right at that mark where generally you don't want pitchers to go any higher as far as extending themselves from one year to the next. 1 ball, 2 strike delivery on the way. We say that in light of the fact we were looking at his numbers over his last 10 starts, which are dramatically different than what they were in his first 7.
Well, I thought that Drew Hutchison, who pitched so well, and he ended up striking 11 the other night, but he missed a whole year with Tommy John, and he's at about 175 innings. And he's never pitched that much in his career and had no problems in Toronto. Not going to shut him down, let him pitch. Didn't look like it affected him. Gave up a couple of home runs, but pitched really well.
De La Rosa in a 3-game losing streak coming into this one. 7th pitch of the at bat on a 3-2. And there'll be another. De La Rosa has lost to Kansas City in his last outing. Toronto before that. Got non-decision in 2 games against Tampa Bay and Toronto, and before that lost to the Angels. He hasn't won a game since August 10. That was his last win.
Well, the one number that looks out, we thought that Jimenez for the Orioles only gets 3.5. He gets 2.63 runs a game.
That toward the hole will be cut off. Craig playing first. Late flip. De La Rosa got over there, though, and they get the out. Let's open up our Major League notebook here and take a look at the pennant races. Today, the Tigers beat the Royals 3-2. Scherzer going in that one, a run on 7 hits over 7. Tigers now lead the Central over the Royals 2.5. They got another game coming up tomorrow. Cubs defeated the Dodgers 8-7. 4 runs in the 7th and 2 in the 8th. The Dodgers lead in the West 3 games. The Phillies defeated the A's 3-0. 7 innings. Williams went, no runs, 4 hits. The Phillies had 2 runs in the 7th, 1 in the 8th. So a couple of big come from behind wins, and the A's continue to struggle.
And I believe that's Jerome Williams.
Yes. So with 1 out here is Young, who grounded out his first time up. The Oakland numbers will be noted as the season will come to an end and the playoffs begin. But as Jim was talking about, it will be one of the most dramatic downfalls at the end of the season in Major League history. I mean, it's just tumultuous what's happened to the A's, who look like an absolute shoo-in. 2-0 delivery, and that'll be fouled back.
Yeah, there was a great article about, from Brandon Moss, who's an all-star, who had all-star numbers the first half, to Jed Raleigh getting hurt. He said, it's not fun to come to the ballpark. Well, it isn't when you're gone 11. Now you're 11-26. When you had a commanding lead, you were playing the run differential more than anybody in baseball. And you looked at that ball club and you're going, not disrespectful. You go, how are they winning the way they're winning? But they did, and they've done it not only early this year but last year. They win. Bob Melvin's a terrific manager, and all of a sudden it's just like everything changed.
3-1 delivery on the way, and that ball gets pulled down into the corner. That's going to be a base hit. Delman will make the turn and put the brakes on and come back to first base. He made a very big turn, but Nava got it back in and holds him to a single.
Yeah, a lot of times what dictates whether you go for it, because the play when you come around first is right in front of you. No, there's the changeup. This is where he got some strikeouts. And again, he just hooks it down in the corner. Nava is going to get to it very quickly. So even though he's left-handed, right here he sees him and he goes, let's put the brakes on. And if you could say that Delman Young can scurry, he scurried back safely.
Craig kidding with him there. I wasn't going to tag you anyway, Here's Adam Jones. The Orioles picking up their 3rd hit. Each team now with 3. Home run Ortiz first inning, good for 2 RBIs. Orioles have had 3 singles. Bases loaded, 2 chances with the sacks full in the 2nd. The Orioles didn't score. Now a runner on, 1 down. Adam Jones grounded out his first time up. Ball drilled in the air, deep to center field. Get up on your feet, bleachers. Goodbye, home run. Adam Jones, a 2 RBI shot, and this ball game is tied.
Why was that ball crushed? It was like, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a liftoff. Boy, he did it in Chicago against the White Sox. Went over the bullpen. I mean, hit 2 bullets to right field. 1 for a double, 1 for a home run.
So the Orioles find the long ball again, and that is number 200. And the Orioles, for the 3rd straight season, have had 200 or more home runs for the first time in Orioles history. Cruz will take the pitch outside. Well, the Orioles use it to tie the game up. There are the home run numbers all time. 96, the big year with 257. The Orioles here, you go 2011, 12, 13, and now 14 for the 200 home run seasons, 3 in a row. And Adam Jones gets number 26.
Check it out, his bat. He might have put a dent in it as hard as that ball was hit.
1 ball, 1 strike count. Cruz will foul that one off at the plate. Hit the umpire.
I mean, talk about liftoff. Look at that. I mean, pretty much middle of the plate, and just, I mean, it's gone. Rusney Castillo playing. He just took about 2 steps and turned around. I mean, 103. We've seen that's getting up there. I think we've seen 105 a couple of times.
And a comebacker that's going to go to short. Bogart's got 1 play. That's it. Oh, beauty. Bogarts gets Cruz on a fine defensive play.
Yeah, only way you can make it. Don't have enough time because Nelson running hard, so you. De La Russa can't get it, but Bogarts can.
Well, that's a big play coming after that home run to get that out. Could easily have been another man on right there. So Bogart's good defensive play to help De La Russa and denied a base hit as Cruz. J.J. Hardy drew a walk his first time up. Base is empty. There are 2 down. For our Maryland Lottery contestant, Ronald McDormand, $500 for the home run by Adam Jones. 0-1 count. De La Russa's delivery will be taken outside for a ball. De La Russa's given up 11 homers. For Adam Jones, 2 RBIs in his 26th home run of the season. Coming here at Camden Yards. 1-1 delivers. Swing and a miss. Throttled back and a pitch up. For Jones this season, he's had 13 home runs here and 13 on the road. Split right down the middle. 292 average at home, 276 on the road for Adam. 1-2 pitch. Did he go? Or the first? Yes, he did. And Hardy thought so. He actually started walking away before the call by Ron Kalpa at first base. But the Orioles right back at it. Jones delivering the home run. Young had been on ahead of him with a single. Ball game tied at 2. University of Maryland University College, Mike Cuellar. First Oriole pitcher to win the Cy Young Award. He did it in his first year with the O's in 1969. 8 seasons, 143 wins, 88 losses with the Orioles, and a 3.18 ERA. He had 133 complete games. That's second in franchise history, only to Jim's number. He was one of 4 Oriole pitchers in 71 to have 20 wins. Helped the Orioles win 3 straight AL pennants and a World Series championship in 1970. Mike Cuellar.
Yeah, boy, could he pitch.
Castillo will lead it off after Adam Jones gets it tied up. And the pitch will be taken outside. Strikeout victim his first time up, so Tillman gets a little help with the big bat of his center fielder. And is right back in it. Pitch will be taken, and the count goes to 2-0. Bradley and then Middlebrooks will be due up. Rusney Castillo, 27 years old. First chance at the majors. Leaving Cuba, and the season's there. An opportunity now to be a starting player with this ball club. 2 ball, 1 strike count.
Yeah, Cespedes, who hit the home run last night, not playing tonight, their left fielder. He's a home run guy. This guy apparently much more speed. Played the infield, also played the outfield, but high average hitter.
That'll go to second. Jonathan Scope. Leadoff man retired here in the 4th inning. Tomorrow the Orioles close out this home portion of the regular season with the 1:35 showdown against the Red Sox. The first 25,000 fans 15 and over get the Chris Tillman's Fans Choice bobblehead presented by AT&T. Chris won that special fan voting earlier this year, so you get a chance to add to the collection tomorrow. Go to Orioles.com. You can call 888-848-BIRD for tickets. Bradley Jr. will take the pitch. Strikeout victim his first time up. 4th inning. Orioles 2-4-1. They've left 3. The Red Sox 2-3-0. They have left 3. And the pitch, a towering pop up to center. Adam Jones will wait on this rainmaker, and he's got it. 2 down. Well, we invite all of you to take time right now to tweet your photo using hashtag #MASSonFanPhotos. It's a chance to have it shown in a future broadcast, and it's brought to you by AT&T. Two down. Middlebrooks coming up. Middlebrooks drew a walk, a leadoff walk in the 2nd inning. And the pitch on the inside corner for a strike. Hard to believe those numbers. 188, 2 home runs, 19 RBI.
Well, he did break his hand early in the year, and just wants to get home and get healthy. And yeah, you're right though. The first year, over 280, 15 home runs and about 280 at bats, then got a broken wrist.
1-1 delivery will be fouled the other way.
But we've really seen him do everything. Couple of home runs in one game up in Boston. Home runs to right field here. Good defender. Boy, but if you get those wrist injuries, that's why. If you look at Steve Pearce, healthy this year until tonight. Totally different hitter.
Fouled off. Tillman with a 1-ball, 2-strike count. In that Yankee game today, by the way, Jacoby Ellsbury did not play again. That hamstring problem took him out of a ball game a couple of nights ago, kept him out of the game today. Orioles, of course, headed to New York for the 4-game set coming up. 1-2 delivery, and that's going to be a base hit to center. So Middlebrooks breaks the 0 for 18 against Tillman with a single here in the 4th inning with 2 down. And that'll get Vasquez, the number 9 hitter, to the plate. Strike him out, throw him out, double play in his first time up. Tillman has now surrendered 4 hits, 3 singles, and a homer. And the 1 walk he gave up, leadoff walk in the game to Betts, ended up crossing the plate in front of Ortiz on that home run. That's to first. That's going to be a base hit into right field. No chance for Walker to get that one. Cruz will get it back in, and Vasquez is on. So the 8 and 9 hitters deliver singles for the Red Sox. 2 on, 2 down.
Yeah, that's a nice little approach. You're holding the runner on. Just the fastball outside part. Great approach. He just takes it the other way. Nobody playing there. Goes it back to Cruz. Charges it. Small ballpark. No chance to get the 3rd. Tell you what, if he had that stroke, he wouldn't be hitting 211.
No. So the leadoff batter gets the RBI chance. Here's Mookie Betts, drew the walk, scored, and he is struck out. See, the Red Sox 0 for 2 so far with runners in scoring position. They are dead last in the American League in that department, hitting at .232 on the year. 2 on, 2 down. Tillman's delivery to him. Breaking ball, it stays inside. And a 1-0 count. 70 pitches. thrown by Tillman so far. Chris started tied for first in games started in the American League at 32. Up to 198 innings pitched now. 1-0 delivery and a big cut. Betts was going for something other than a bunt single.
Well, he has a little bit of pop, and it looks to me he has pretty good bat control. Maybe overswinging a little bit.
1 ball, 1 strike count.
Yeah, one of these young hitters, Gary, that he has a lot of movement in his swing. Now, if he hits, it'll be a trigger.
1-1 delivery in the air to center. Jones is playing in. He'll back up a couple of steps. And Tillman works his way out of it. No runs on 2 hits, no errors, and 2 are left on base. Ball game tied at 2. Gone to the minor leagues and picked up some of our favorite monikers. I love this one. I love that logo. This is the Class A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. They are the Fort Wayne Tin Caps. They're named after John Chapman, better known as Johnny Appleseed. Yes, he actually was a real live person, roamed around the states in that area planting apple trees with seeds for a long time, became in folklore history one of the great names in the area, and he's buried in Fort Wayne. So when they came up and asked the folks to vote on a name, Tin Caps, because Johnny Appleseed used to walk around with his tin cooking pot on his head.
Really?
Really. Well, I kid you, I was back there. I remember when he came by the house one day, I said, funny hat.
Yeah. Well, good when it starts hailing.
That's good. It's a lot of noise. And you can put beer in that too.
Yeah.
That'll be fouled upstairs.
I'm telling you, winning brings out a lot of fans.
A lot of stuff.
It? Yeah. Isn't that great?
Ball game tied here at 2-2, bottom of the 4th inning. Christian Walker base hit his first time up. 0-2 delivery. Unfortunately today, the Brewfest down in Fells Point was held in the afternoon.
No.
Unfortunately for me.
Oh, the Brewfest.
I did go by, but no, never drink before a game. Deep, way back, Walker, and goodbye, home run! Christian Walker's in the home run column, and the Orioles have a 3-2 lead.
Well, wait a minute here. Now, we heard about the power. We heard about the 53 extra base hits, 26 home runs, AA and AAA. They got him out last night on sliders. I said, is that the way they pitch you? He said, yeah. When they get outs, and Tom Cheedy, the Oriole bullpen coach, he gets a little toss from a home fan, and there you go. That ball was nailed.
That's great. That's really great.
Well, take a look at this. I mean, it's a slider. He got one off of Allen Webster. I mean, he threw him 7 pitches, 6 sliders. Well, boy, is it nice to have straightaway power. That's where you like to pitch to, unless they hit them like that.
So Christian Walker delivers, and the home run's on the board for the Orioles, and they've got a 3-2 lead as a result of it. Boy, he did crank that one. 1-1 delivery. That's going to be fouled off. Flaherty had a base hit his first time up. So Walker wasn't supposed to be in the ball game. Ends up delivering what, for the moment at least, is a go-ahead home run and another $500 for Ronald McDormand, our Maryland lottery contestant. 1-2. As you can tell by watching Christian after hitting his first major league home run, he keeps things pretty much inside. He does not wear his emotions on his cuff.
Well, he's got one of those, I mean, the stature of Josh Willingham. He's, as you said, comes out of a great baseball program at South Carolina. He's talking to another home run hitter, Steve Pierce.
Yep.
Thanks for letting me play, by the way.
2-2. That's going to be a base hit into the corner. Ryan Flaherty will make the turn. Bradley has a bounce around on him. Flaherty's in a stand-up double. He's 2 for 2. Boy, does he love to hit against the Red Sox. He came in hitting .304 this year against Boston, and he's added to it.
Well, he's also hitting well in September because he's getting to play. And the back spasms at J.J. Hardy kept him out of the game. You know, the fact that Manny Machado is gone. So, I mean, here's a guy that against right-handed pitching, his little changeup that stays in the middle of the plate, that's how they try to get him out, and he's all over it. You can see Bradley try to get to it, then it goes right by him, but no chance to get to third.
So Flaherty's on. A discussion at the mound. Vasquez went out. Bullpen just starting to move around for the Red Sox.
Well, I think he's upset, and I think Christian Vasquez knows that because he threw a pitch to Flaherty that he thought was a strike, and then he turned his back on the home plate umpire.
He will have, when he leaves the game, Jim, I agree with you, he'll probably have something to say to the home plate umpire on his way to the dugout.
Yeah, well, that won't do any good.
No. So the Orioles get the lead and a chance to add more. Nobody out, 4th inning. Nick Hundley, a strikeout victim his first time up. He'll chop it towards the middle. Play is going to go to first. And a tag put on as Craig had to come off the bag, but it does get Flaherty moved up as Hundley hit behind him. Play made by Betts.
Yeah, he makes a nice play, gets to it very quickly. I mean, hardly any hesitation. Nick Hundley doesn't have a lot of speed, but you'll love the approach. Not an easy play. And then again, by getting rid of it quickly, he gives Craig the opportunity to come off the bag, catch it, and make the tag. So now, because of the scoreboard, you're going to have to bring your infield in, and that's Nick Hundley.
Yep.
Getting him over.
Got the job done and congratulated by the dugout when he came back. Infield in, one away. Jonathan Scope, strikeout victim first time up. Bunt, squeeze, it was a suicide. Run will score, tag is put on, and the Orioles have a 4-2 lead on a suicide squeeze.
Wow, it might be the first of the year that I recall. Doesn't mean that means it's right, but I don't remember another one. So he strikes out his last time. 22-year-old guy. You put it on. This is what all the pregame. You talk about the fact they were out early bunting yesterday. And, you know, you don't have to get it down to be a perfect bunt. De La Rosa, he knows the minute that Jonathan Scope. But I mean, look at the thing. Bat out in front. Good chance. Didn't foul it off. And then all of a sudden you get yourself a 4th run. So there's a little primer for the postseason.
Exactly. Buck Showalter is loving that. That's the kind of play that can make a difference, win a ball game. That one goes through, may have hit the umpire down at the feet along.
Well, I'm telling you, I mean, check out the look by Diaz because he knows exactly what he's doing. DeRosa is not happy, and he's not happy he gave up 4 runs. It actually gets the umpire. I mean, but this is, you know, we already went through this with Toronto when Stroman did his stuff, and all you got to do is look at the glare. That was pretty purpose pitch.
Did he go? A check? Yes, he did. Ron Kalpa. Well, I thought Brian Butterfield, third base coach for the Red Sox, I was talking with him today. You see the bullpen up. Butterfield said today, he said, you know something, watching this ball club play, he said they do all things right when it comes to baseball fundamentals. He said they're fun to watch because of that. Brian said, as far as I'm concerned, this year, there's no team better at getting the fundamentals done right than the Orioles.
Well, that started the day that they hired Buck Showalter.
Yep.
You know, and that's the way. And, you know, I was so lucky to have played A-ball with Cal Ripken Sr. I had played instructional league. I had him when I hurt my shoulder. Anybody that ever played for him, and the same thing with Buck.
Yep.
You learn to play the game right, and then when you get to the big leagues, and Earl Weaver, you got to remember, Earl came right through the minor leagues. So when you came to the big leagues, you had to do things at a certain level. Now, you can talk all you want about doing it at the minor league level. When Buck comes over, that's the way they're going to do it.
Yep. And have.
Yep. And, you know, Ron Johnson, I mean, the reason he has so much respect for Ron Johnson, his AAA managers, because he knows that the same message Buck is conveying here is being conveyed at that level.
So you get the runner moved up in this inning by Hundley. You get the suicide squeeze bunt laid down. Those are big things when it comes to the postseason. Here's the 2-2 delivery on the way, and a swing and a miss. De La Rosa will get the strikeout, but the Orioles will get the runs. Christian Walker, rookie, first major league home run. Then the Orioles added another, 4-2. Is brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you, and by AT&T, mobilizing your world. Middle game of the 3-game set before packed house here at Camden Yards. Oriole Park, the site. There you see the T-shirt and the sign of "We Won't Stop," and the Orioles haven't. Going to get that chance as Walker with a night he won't forget, baseball being taken for him into the clubhouse, and now Tillman's got a lead to work with.
Yeah, the more I see him, you know, you're thinking, okay, who does he look like? Well, Josh Willingham, maybe a little Steve Garvey in him, you know, not that tall, but very compact. It'd be nice to have a Steve Garvey career.
That would
2,800 hits.
work. Yeah.
That would work.
Here is Xander Bogaerts, who has grounded out, flied out Tillman. That goes to center, right at Adam. One pitch and one out. Our PNC minor league report brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you.
Well, an infielder out of Miami, and you know, we kind of look at all the numbers. More stolen bases, higher league. Last year he played at Delmarva, so he goes up to Frederick. More doubles this year. Again, apparently one of the better defenders. A couple of years ago, he was rated the best infielder in the Orioles minor league.
Ground ball hit into the shift by Ortiz. Play will be made.
Well, that's nice. 2 pitches, 2 outs.
That's really going to help that pitch count. That was J.J. Hardy was moved around on the shift who made that play. So it's actually 6-3, and there are 2 down.
Well, we talked about in the opening. I mean, what makes Chris Tillman tick? The fact that he can struggle early. That was a velocity and one curveball that was up, leadoff walk, and then all of a sudden he gets back into stride. And then all of a sudden you look up and he's got a lead, and it's the 5th inning, getting into the 6th inning.
He's got a 5-game win streak going that he's trying to continue in this ball game. That is a career high 5-game win streak. 2 down here in the 5th inning. Craig at the plate. He'll put it up in the air. Right field, playable. Cruz does just that. Now there's the kind of inning Tillman likes to see. Got through that in a hurry. Clean inning here in the 5th. That's the first one he's had in the ball game.
Orioles trailing early till this. Signal by Young. Home run number 26 will tie it 2-2 by Adam Jones. Monster shot. And then Christian Walker, first week in the big leagues, double the other night. First major league home run to give the Orioles a lead. And then how about this? Jonathan Scope with the squeeze bunt. After Hundley got Flaherty, who had doubled over, Orioles manufacture a run, take a 4-2 lead. De La Rosa out of the game, and Tillman still motoring on after struggling early. The home run by Ortiz in the first. Those are your Geico game highlights. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Keith Hembree comes on and pitches. Came over from the Giants in the Jake Peavy trade, so a chance to impress.
Peavy will get a look here at the Orioles. He comes into this ball game for De La Rosa, who works through the first 4 and gets charged with the 4 runs and a couple of home runs, one by Jones and one by Walker. And Delmon Young will lead it off against him. Young has singled and scored, and he has grounded out.
So Hembree was an all-star up at Fresno in the Pacific Coast League. 20 saves between there and Pawtucket. You've got to have the ability to get people out. Again,
Young greets him with a base hit on the first pitch thrown.
Well, maybe not. High slider. Delmon goes, I like that one.
So Delmon's got a couple of hits, 2 for 3 in the ball game for the Orioles hit machine there.
He just pretends he's 10 for 20 pinch hitting. That's what he just go up every time, pretend you're pinch hitting. Hanging slider, just slaps it back up the middle. Easy to overswing on this pitch. And I'm telling you, it's like when they play on clay courts in tennis, the ball looks like it stays on the bat. That's how the kind of at bats he's had this year.
Delmon, what do you look for when you come to the plate? The ball.
Yeah. How do you get ready to hit?
It.
Swing as hard
and
as I can. Yeah. Well, he's not the first hitter. Has not said, see ball, hit ball.
Yeah, that's right. Then you got to do it.
Well, he can do that.
Here's Adam Jones, who delivered the home run in the 3rd inning. He is 26th of the year. Good for 2 RBIs. As the Orioles now have 7 hits in the ball game. Out hitting the Red Sox 7-5 and leading them 4-2. Embry's delivery, and that will be foul back.
And that was the 27th home run of the year swing.
Adam now has 3 home runs against the Red Sox this year and 18 in his career against Boston, while Christian Walker has 1, and he will treasure it forever. It's a real nice gesture by getting that ball back from the fan. Here's the 1-1 delivery on the way. That's going to be deep into left field, way back, and goodbye, home run! A 2-homer night for Adam Jones and 4 RBIs.
Well, certainly making up for the night off last night. He was coming out to hit. I said, so we're going to see the Adam Jones show tonight, and we are. Fastball to center field, hanging slider. Looks like the pitch that Tillman Young got. Number 27 on the year. 33 home runs last year, 32 the year, so still a opportunity to get to 30.
Boy, Adam Jones, along with the home runs, piling up the RBIs. 91 runs batted in, starting to close in on the top 10 in that department.
Yeah, the last 2 years, 100 or more RBIs, so trying to.
The Orioles extend the lead to 6-2.
Yeah, take a look. I mean, it's just a backup slider, stays on the inside half, and I mean, off the bat hit, it's gone.
Second multi-homer game he has had this year. And the Orioles now up 6-2 in a 3-homer ball game for the Orioles. And a swing and a miss. Good night to be the Maryland lottery contestant. And Ronald McDormand is another 500. Nelson Cruz grounded out, flied out. And that will get the bullpen going again. Stephen Wright up in the pen. Cruz still leads everybody in home runs, 39. 0-2 delivery on the way, and that'll be foul back. Down the line and curving into the seats. Cruz is also up there and runs batted in. Started the day tied for second with Abreu. Miguel Cabrera and Cruz all had 104 RBIs. Trout leads the American League still with 107. Nelson 0-2. Embry's delivery to him, and that will be outside. So the Orioles not only get to but surpass that 200 mark in home runs. 202 on the year. Here's the 1-2 delivery, and Cruz again down that line, trying to get one on the other side of that fair pole.
Well, that's the big leagues right there. I mean, that's a pretty good pitch. 93 right on the outside corner. Maybe it just. So he hangs a couple of slider. Young hits a single. Jones hits a home run, and now you got a guy with leading the American world, Major League Baseball in home runs with 39. You think you make the kind of pitch that may get a minor league guy out, and he just flicks it foul.
Almost gets a home run. 1-2 delivery on the way, then worked him back inside, but missed on it, and the count goes to 2 balls, 2 strikes. Embry, a major part of the AAA Pawtucket championship season. He worked in the playoffs for the ball club and was outstanding. 2 ball, 2 strike delivery on the way, and jammed him and will get it.
Yeah, underneath his hands. Good pitch. So away, and he's frustrated that he gave up the couple of runs. Perfect pitch. Vasquez goes there, he gets it. See Nelson, a great angle right here, trying to get the bat hit. I mean, the barrel of the bat to the ball just couldn't do it because of the location and velocity.
So 1 away here in the 5th inning with 2 runs in. Hardy coming up. He has struck out and drawn a walk. Defense straight up against him. And the pitch will be taken for a strike on the outside corner. The Orioles trying to gain for that best record, of course, against the Angels. The Angels playing at home against Texas in a ball game that will get underway in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, when you play on the West Coast, you pretty much know how what you got to do, because
it's all on the board.
Yeah, it's on the board right out there when you're taking batting practice, and when you get ready to play, pretty much you know what the work's cut out for you. 2-game lead in the loss column by the Angels, with the Orioles holding 4 wins out of the 6 games they played. So a tie would go, home field advantage would go to Baltimore.
0-2 delivery on the way, and Hardy will take that outside. Skipped off the ground. Count goes to 1-2. Red Sox pitchers greeted by a home run barrage that we've seen so often this season from the Orioles. These multi-homer games that keep piling up. Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way. Came back inside that time, and that'll miss. Red Sox pitching staff coming into this ball game had allowed 150 home runs, which was the 3rd highest in the league. Home runs allowed for John Farrell's staff. 2-ball, 2-strike count on Hardy, and a chopper down to 3rd that will go foul. JJ back in with a 2-ball, 2-strike count.
Yeah, Tom Woodring, the home plate umpire, normally used to have the little brush. He just dusted off with his shoes.
Modern day.
Well, the old day they used to have the little
whisper 'em.
Well, yeah, but they also used to have the thing in Kansas City where the little thing come up, and then the kind of like when you're filling up your tires with gas.
Broken bat to third base, hauled in by Middlebrooks.
He can get inside with the best of them.
And there are 2 down. As promised earlier in the game, our AT&T fan photo. Look at it. Lovely. A perfect night to be at the ballpark. There are the knit caps. Giveaways tonight. Bobblehead day. Chris Tillman tomorrow.
Well, you know, when they come to the World Series in late October, you might need that hat.
You better be
here in Baltimore.
Yep.
Very thoughtful of the Orioles tonight.
Right on cue. And a swing and a miss on a heater. Walker getting a big hand. 2 for 2 ball game. First major league home run his last time up.
Yeah, hit a slider. Heath Embry says, I'm not going to mess around with that streak. I've thrown 2 of them. One was a single and one was a home run. And I think we'll go. And if I'm going to throw it, it's going to be just off the corner.
Embry's delivery will be up high. Walker is starting to lean in, leans back, and the count goes to 1-1. Adam Jones, 2 home runs, 26 and 27. Walker, his first. Home runs to the Orioles tonight. Here's the 1-1 delivery to him, and a swing and a miss. Pretty good break. Home plate umpire says foul tipped into the mitt. 1-2. Well, you never know. For postseason to Christian Walker. Chris Davis won't be available for the beginning of the postseason, at least for the Orioles. Spot to be filled. And again inside, working him in and out, and a 2-ball, 2-strike count.
Well, I mean, that's why it's so important to get your young players up. I mean, in reality, with AA, AAA, the home runs, the RBIs, the 53 extra base hits, worked hard on his defense. If somebody gets hurt, you may need them.
Yep.
And that's why it was so wise to have the players down at Sarasota.
2-2 and another fastball that will get him. But the Orioles add a couple more. 2 runs on 2 hits, no errors, nobody left on. Adam Jones, multi-homer game number 2 of the year. Home run number 27. Young came in ahead of him as he did on the first home run. 6-2 O's. Park at Camden Yards, the Longevity Foundation's Deep Breath Baltimore 5K walk in honor of the former Orioles PR director Monica Pence Barlow was held. More than double the participants from last year, over 1,000 today. They walked and raised more than $100,000 in the battle against lung cancer for research. Nick Markakis, Darren O'Day, trainer Richie Bancells, Buck Showalter all here. That's the plaque in the press box downstairs from us in memory of Monica. And she was remembered today, and as Buck said, a tremendous turnout early this morning at 7 o'clock for the walk.
Yeah, the kind of lady that you'll always remember. I mean, you know, lovely, smart, vivacious, passionate, caring. You know, you can go right down the list.
Yep. And always deeply involved. She and her husband. Her husband carries on the tradition of raising the money. Orioles with a 6-2 lead in this ball game. Chris Tillman will get that pitch in there for a strike. Daniel Nava leading it off. He is singled and grounded out. Orioles trying to set up a rubber match for this 3-game set in the closing day of the home schedule, regular season tomorrow. 1-1 from Tillman after his 13th win of the season. His 7th career win against Boston, if he can get it, here in his 33rd start of the year.
Yeah, very durable.
1-1 in the air to center. Jones will back up on it.
Well, take a look at your Jeep inside the numbers for Chris Tillman and talk about some heady company. Tillman 19 stars, 3 earned runs or fewer, and then John Lester, he won yesterday. Alex Cobb, we know how he's good. We see him all the time. So Mr. Consistent. You know, he struggled and then had a little bit of lower leg groin problems early, and all of a sudden got healthy and started pitching about as well as he has in the last 3 years.
Those 19 straight starts with 3 earned runs or less, 3rd longest in Orioles history. Tillman, if he can extend it today, will tie Steve Barber for 2nd with 20 straight. Milt Pappas and Dave McNally, the other 2. McNally had a string of 25 games in 1968. 25 consecutive in which he gave up 3 or fewer runs.
Yeah, I think Mac was about 10-10 at the All-Star break and ended up winning the next 12 that year, and then it extended to like 15 or 16 consecutive wins. And then Steve Barber used to always say,
down to 3rd and fair. Throw made. Outstanding play by Flaherty.
Well, he's a terrific athlete. Very good, very steady hands. He can play shortstop, and we've seen that when Hardy went down. And then right here, you look at the circle. So again, something they hit you balls, getting different fungos, different angles. And like you said, he plays very well at 3rd, more comfortable at short when he plays short, but doesn't play it very often because of the durability of J.J. Hardy. And there's his infield coach. Very good infield coach.
Bobby Dickerson with the applause for his 3rd baseman. Jackie Bradley Jr. He will take the pitch for a strike. He has struck out, flied out. 1 hit now in his last 30 at bats.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out. I looked at it when Jackie Bradley, I saw him a couple of springs ago, and I'm going, boy, it reminds me of Al Bunbury. And then you look at the minor leagues. He had 1 good year. I mean, last year when they sent him out after he hit 189, he had 275. But I looked at Al, and Al moved up A ball. I mean, hit 336, 345 the next year in Double-A. Then he went to another year at Double-A, 347, then 345 at Triple-A, and then he came up as Rookie of the Year. Bradley just, I don't know. I don't know what he is. I know he's a very good defensive player, but hitting, is he a singles hitter? Is he a home run guy? Because if he's a home run guy or he's a singles hitter, he shouldn't be swinging at that pitch. It's almost like, I think, because he struggles so much, he doesn't know who he really is. And until you find that out, whether you're a pitcher or a hitter, you don't have a chance at this level.
.297 minor league batting average for him. Nowhere near that to major league level. Called off, and catch made by Diaz. So another clean inning, and that's going to be 7 in a row retired by Tillman. Well, the Orioles haven't stopped. 3-homer ball game here tonight, and now a 6-2 lead, and they'll face the third Red Sox pitcher.
And your M&T Bank call to the bullpen, brought to you by M&T Bank. When Baltimore succeeds, we all succeed. So Stephen Wright comes on. He's been around 3 different organizations. The breaking ball is his knuckleball. Started throwing it in 2011. In fact, that was when he was hurt, sports hernia injury early in the year after being with the Red Sox for a short time last year. Actually pitched very well for their Pawtucket affiliate in 2013. So he pitches a game in relief, and in 5 innings, a game that R.A. Dickey, who helped him with the knuckleball, happened to start. Toronto winning that game. He struck out 9. And his most recent outing was in Pittsburgh, where he wasn't as successful. 4 runs and 5 hits on Wednesday night. Mike Davis hitting the 3-run home run.
30-year-old knuckleballer will make his first appearance ever against the Orioles out of Torrance, California. Long time around the minors. The minor league, he's got 215 games that he appeared in as a minor league player going back to 2007. Stephen Wright on. Ambry worked an inning, 2 runs, 2 hits, no walks, couple of strikeouts, gave up the home run, the second one to Adam Jones. Ryan Flaherty trying to keep it going. A double, a single, a run scored for Ryan in the ball game. And the delivery to him, there's the knuckler. That will be up for a ball. This changes your whole perspective in the box.
It really does. And of course, with Tim Wakefield, terrific knuckleballer. Started with Pittsburgh and then eventually with the Red Sox. Finished out his career. Reliever. So let's see. He used to throw his knuckleball at like 68. Dickey can get it up into the low 80s. This one looks like it's somewhere in the mid 70 range.
2-0 delivery on the way, and that one's going to miss.
You can see a lot of movement. It just knuckled its way right out of the strike zone.
So Wright falls behind first batter faced here. Count goes to 3-0 for Vasquez, a catcher's delight. And that pitch will be in the outside corner for a strike at 81 miles an hour. He's thrown as many as 5 innings this season with the Red Sox. 3-1 pitch on the way, and that's a strike.
And he
fluttered in.
Well, he was a starting pitcher, and he actually, and then he did a lot of relieving, as you mentioned. He went 10-0 one year when he was in Cleveland's organization. Reliever and part starter with a very low ERA, 2.3 runs.
And gets him on the strikeout as he came back, foul tipped into the mitt.
So 3-2. Go back to the knuckler. It's not a ball that's in the strike zone. You could see him off the. It's really a knuckleball's not thrown by the knuckles, and you could see it kind of float in there. And it's thrown right off the fingertips. And every other pitch you throw, you're using your wrist, but you keep a stiff wrist and never could throw a good one.
And that pitch will be in there for a strike. Hundley has struck out and grounded out.
And there's a fastball. So we've seen curveball. He's got starter stuff.
Got a repertoire.
Yeah.
Here's the 0-1 delivery. We know he's smart because he went to the University of Hawaii. That's where he played his college ball.
You mean start?
I mean, he went to Hawaii.
Yeah, that's
smart.
Right.
Here's the 1-1 delivery, and that ball out in front of it and into the seats. How can you possibly go to school in Hawaii?
Not often.
That's the trouble.
Yeah, right. Well, let's see. You never broadcast in Hawaii?
I actually did broadcast in Hawaii. One game.
Well, no, but I meant as a
ongoing basis. No. 1-2 delivery, and there's the knuckler outside.
I think Fred Manfred did. Al Michaels did. Mel Proctor did. A lot of guys. A lot of smart guys.
All right. I wasn't.
Guys that look good in Tommy Bahama.
There you go. Jim Presley's favorite shirt. 2-2 delivery on the way, and that'll be fouled off outside at third. It's tough to get outdoors in Hawaii. You go over there and you live. You just want to get out once in a while. And the weather's never.
Yeah, a lot of inclement weather.
Yeah, a lot of inclement weather.
It's hard dealing with those Kona winds.
Or Kona coffee, for that matter. Here's the 2-2 delivery, and the knuckler is going to be up high. To go to Hawaii, go to Molokai. It's my favorite island. Nobody goes there. That's why it's my favorite. Used to be the Pineapple Plantation Island, and now it's one of the most uninhabited, beautiful islands still left. 3-2 delivery and a swing and a miss on the knuckler. 2 Ks in a row here. Hundley down.
Well, that first game he pitched against Toronto, he did have 9 in 5 innings. So this knuckle's going to dance a little bit. Look at that ball. No rotation at all. That's why you throw it with a stiff wrist. Just kind of like repelling. Throw it up there and then hope it moves. It knuckles.
Good mountain climbing attitude there. Just throw it up there and hope. And that'll be handled in foul territory. Bradley going over to get it. Jonathan Scope retired. Orioles retired in order. 6 complete with the Orioles up by 4. the Stars and Stripes uniforms the Orioles wore last week, honoring the 200th anniversary of the Star Spangled Banner, written here in Baltimore, of course, are now available at auction. Orioles.com/auction. Each jersey cap, autographed, authenticated. Proceeds benefit the Orioles Charitable Foundation. So we hope you'll take part in the special celebration, and great items to be picked up. Bidding closes tomorrow at midnight. Orioles.com/auction. Flag court full again tonight. Watching the ball game on this beautiful evening. Rooftop bar, as always.
Have we done an opening out there yet?
We did. We did one opening out there.
This year?
Yeah.
Was it?
We did. Were you there?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know, Mike Bordick went. It might have been you at Bordick.
We can do another one.
We're
out
down.
There. Would you like to do that?
It's down to one.
We got a lot of time left. One day.
Yeah.
We can do it tomorrow. All right, it's the deal.
No.
No?
No.
Well, yes or no?
I just wondered if we did. I didn't say I wanted to do it again.
I hear the screeching.
Well, ever since you offered my services to a lady taking a picture of my statue, and would you like to have Jim in it? And she didn't know who I was. I get very offended. No thanks. I don't need him. Just take a picture of the highlight kick. Oh, I know you loved that.
I did. I mean,
well, it was a good moment.
I got to tell the story now. 0-2 count, Middlebrooks. So we're walking out to do the live open or whatever, tape it out there, and we go by Jim's statue out there, and we're looking at it, and there's a lady taking a picture of it, and Jim walks over by the statue, and the lady says, would you move away so I can take a picture of the statue? Oh my gosh. And I'm standing there, and I'm trying not to laugh too hard, and I'm like, lady, do you realize it's not the statue, this is the guy, this is him? You got a 2-for-1 going here. Nope, she wouldn't do it.
No, sorry. Can you move on?
We moved on. That was amazing. 1-2 strike count. Probably somebody's sitting out there going, wait a minute.
She probably thought I was Bob Feller. No. My name on that thing? Tell people who I used to be. Come on.
Or in the famous Charles Osgood piece he used to do, you mean they're still alive? That's the truth. Charles Osgood used to do a radio show once or twice a year on people that everybody thought were dead, and they were still alive. Swing and a miss.
Well, there you go. First strikeout since all the way back in the second inning. Good changeup. A little bit off the plate. Middlebrooks struggling with the bat way out in front. What a great angle. Shows you what the changeup can do. And the other thing is great arm speed.
So Middlebrooks retired. Strikeout number 5 for Tillman, who's walked only 1, and that was the leadoff batter in the ballgame.
And well going. Doesn't he know I'm hitting 188? How could he do that to me?
How dare you throw that?
Yeah, 2-2 change it down and away.
Vasquez will go after it down the line of right field. Another one that's playable. Cruz over. Foul territory. Nice play. And there are a couple away here in the 7th. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Orioles may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Orioles. I told him this morning, don't drink at the game. Oh, God.
I'm telling you, winning. It does.
How old is that horse?
Yeah, right. Well, that kind of goes against the. You can bring a horse to water. Probably can't, but you can bring him a beer, no problem.
Drink every time. Bats up, walked and scored, and struck out fly out. And Tillman gets that one by him, 1-2. Ryan Mattis in the bullpen for the Orioles. Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way.
You know, the amazing thing about Chris Tillman, he gives up the home run after the walk to Mookie Betts, who's at the plate. That was on a curveball. I don't believe he threw another curveball for a strike tonight, and yet he's in the 7th inning. This tells you if you move your fastball around and you throw your changeup, which has really gotten much better the last couple. There's a fastball that stays down, and that you can really be effective. So again, it's nice to have 3, but all you have to do is have more than 1.
Well, how many times have we seen him do that where one pitch or other hasn't worked this year, and he's come back and found a way to get himself deep into a ball game and pick up a win, or at least give the team a chance to win the game. 2-2 delivery on the way, foul back.
Well, what it does, and in my area, you kind of had to do it because everybody else was doing it. It also gives your team a chance to come back. You give up the early run, didn't want to do it, but you did it. You can see the 25 pitches in the first inning. So he's all over the place, and then he settles down, and meanwhile the Orioles are hitting 3 home runs, and they get him 6 runs.
2-2 will go upstairs,
and you can just see when he gets into rhythm. It was 89 in the first. Curveball was the ball that Ortiz hit the left center for the home run, and now all of a sudden most guys would be tired at 103 pitches, but he's throwing harder now than he did in the first inning because he's got a rhythm.
Tillman Tykes loving that. Working here in the 7th, 2-2 down, and that one Betts again fights off back over the screen.
I think it's, in fact, if you look back, I mean, he has thrown some curveballs for strikes, but they all got hit. And Middlebrooks got one. He hit it up the middle, but as far as really using his curveball as a strikeout pitch or an out pitch tonight, maybe it's now.
No, 2-2 delivery, and he got him. 6 strikeouts, 2 in the inning. 1, 2, 3 inning, 3 in a row that have gone clean for him. 7th inning stretch time. Horse or not, we will return. The Orioles have the lead. Gary Thorne, Jim Palmer with you for the Orioles. They found the home run ball again. They continue, Jim, with the 48% plus of their runs coming off homers, continue to lead the majors.
That's about 8% more than any other team in baseball, so that's what they do. And you know, Markakis not playing. Jonesy didn't play last night, so he comes back. It's 2. And Christian Walker, that's nice to see. Young player, first time we've seen him in the big leagues of the last 3 games. Got a double the other night, hit one to center field, and it was hit hard. So at the end of the day, what I like, Gary, is you want to stay away from big innings. It looked like Chris Tillman was going to have a big inning with Ortiz hitting the home runs and a lot of pitches, 25 of them. But the patience that Dave Wallace and Dom Chidi, the new pitching coaches, have taught. We saw it on Tuesday. We saw it on Wednesday. Big strikeouts by Chen and by Norris to keep things from getting out of control and escalating. And that's what Tillman did tonight because he got out of the inning with a couple of strikeouts.
And that changeup, Dave Wallace has just been breathing that into their heads here since he took over as pitching coach. And this year, the pitchers have bought into that. They've worked at it. They use it, and they know it's effective now.
Yeah, fastball command, and then you use a changeup, which looks like it when it's thrown well.
So the Orioles bat here in the 7th inning. Chris Tillman on top in the ball game. De La Rosa, the starter for the Red Sox, the pitcher of record right now on the losing side. 4 runs, 6 hits, 4 innings for De La Rosa. Orioles 6 runs, 8 hits, an error. The Red Sox 2 runs, 5 hits, no errors. Chris Tillman has retired 10 in a row, while the Orioles have been putting up some runs. And De Aza will foul it back. He has walked, grounded out, and struck out in the game. Brad Brock in the bullpen for the O's. 43,015. Here's the ballpark tonight. 43,015. Great crowd. Great evening to be at the Yard. 1-2 delivery. Right. Thought he had him and didn't get the call. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Orioles, if they can get the victory here tonight, keep an eye on the Texas Angels game being played in Anaheim. That ball's going to go to center, hit hard, but got a base hit. Well, just laid that one out there. Diaz extends his hit streak. 5 games for him now. Leadoff single. Tomorrow at midnight is your deadline for placing a deposit on a 2015 full or partial season plan and guaranteeing home games 1 or 2 of the ALDS and other games throughout the postseason when the Orioles advance. Don't miss any of the excitement of playoff baseball. That's Orioles.com/postseason.
Yeah, people asking how do you get tickets? Well, there you go.
Here's Delman Young. Hitting in the 2 spot, 2 singles. Both times would come in to score ahead of Adam Jones, the next batter. Adam having home runs on those occasions. 2 for 3, also grounded out. DH in the ball game tonight. Diaz with great speed over there at first. Right will make the throw over.
Well, you have a good throw and catcher, in fact, a great throw and catcher in Christian Vasquez, and then you have a ball that's going to arrive there somewhere around what, 73, unless he throws his fastball. I mean, Tim Wakefield, you could run on him a little bit, but he was so adept at making the runner stop. I mean, a great angle right here where you can slide step, get the ball, just slide that front foot, but you can have those snap throws, try to throw over there, cut down the lead, hold the ball, step off, multitude of things.
Anything to keep the runner honest, prevent that extra half step, and prevent that lean towards
that running lead they talk about.
0-1 the count. Young will go after that one. That's going to fall in for a base hit. Knocked down by Nava, and a 3-hit ball game as Delman Young.
Yeah, he
3 singles.
Yeah, he came in at 4 for 20 in the month of September, and he hit the big triple last night to tie it up. And then here's a knuckleball. You could see it just stay up. I mean, there it goes down, and able to hit it on the line.
His 6th 3-hit ball game of the season for Delman Young.
And of all the Orioles, he has the most postseason experience.
Yep.
9 home runs.
And only 28.
Yep.
Well, a young player.
So you got him to really help you against lefties, and as it turns out, now he's going to help you in the postseason.
Well, Adam Jones, 2 home runs, numbers 26 and 27, a 4 RBI ball game for Adam. See what he can do with a knuckleballer here with 2 on and nobody out. Bottom of the 7th inning. Jones fouls that one off. Boy, he was giving it the full cut. That one off Vasquez, the catcher, for a strike.
This is home run number 3 swing. And then in and out of the glove. Look at that stiff wrist. Look at the ball just float. And let the aerodynamic of not having any spin work its magic.
There are the numbers for the Orioles. 1 for 4. Runners in scoring position in the ball game. Jones will take it up high. Used to be that the big mitt would be used. Clint Courtney used to use that. Voigt Wilhelm knuckleball pitching. He had a bigger mitt where he could just kind of smother the ball. Not anymore.
Well, not as big as it used to be.
No.
Yeah, they put limitations on it.
Still bigger, but not like Courtney's glove. 1-1 delivery on the way. Jones will put it up in the air to right center field, not deep. Castillo coming in. He's got it. Runners stay. Jones retired. Well, just for the fun of it, as we go along in the final week of the season, I thought we'd take a look at some of the predictions being made at different places. This is from Sports on Earth, done by Phil Rogers. He's got a system where he tries to measure both offensive and defensive positives of the club and where they rank in terms of who's going to win the World Series when you put all of the offense and defensive numbers together. These are the ratings he came up with. And he said of the Angels and Orioles that it's so close that the Orioles could easily overcome the Angels as far as these rankings in the final week of the year. Then he had the Nationals, Seattle, Dodgers, so on. But the Orioles and Angels he put at 1 and 2. It's a system he uses run scoring, run prevention statistics, and then you weigh them and you put together a total number. Now, it's just for fun. But I thought it was interesting to see as we'll go through this final week with a lot of prognostications on who's going to make it to the World Series and who's going to win it. Knuckler fouled back by Cruz.
Yeah, once you find out who's going to be in it, then it's. But having played in so many, played on a lot of good teams that didn't win.
And the interesting note he made, and he's right about the St. Louis Cardinals, they are the team that defy all these numbers. They have over the last 3-4 years. They were ranked 10th in his scale of a chance to win the World Series, but somehow this ball club, which is of the 12 teams that he listed who have a chance to go to the World Series, the Cardinals are 10th in run production and 9th in run prevention. But that's the same thing they were the last time they won a World Championship.
Yeah, they happened to be the best team that got to the World Series that year.
Yep.
And that was against Tampa, I believe.
And playing their best baseball. Goes to right field, misplayed. It's going to be over the head of Bradley and off the wall. De Aza will score. Young going to third will be held. It's a double and an RBI for Cruz, and the Orioles extend their lead 7-2.
Well, the hardest play for an outfielder, I don't care how good you are, and Jackie Bradley Jr. can play the outfield. I mean, this ball just smoked, so you don't know if it's going to take off or keep going or sink. And then last couple of nights we've seen some guys take some divots and slip right here. He'll lose his balance, and Diaz, he will score the 7th run for the Orioles. But you have to love as they send in David Lowe to pinch run, you have to love the approach of Nelson Cruz, because it would be so simple to overswing trying to hit number 40, and he's just smoking the ball the other way the last 3-4 games.
So Cruz out of the ball game for Lowe. The pinch runner keeps his hit streak alive at 8. Infield in, and the pitch in to J.J. Hardy, who has struck out and lined out. Boy, Cruz, his OPS against Boston going back to 1914 is third only to Ruth and Gehrig in highest OPS against the Red Sox for those who've had 150 plate appearances or more. And he keeps it up here with a double and an RBI. So Wright with a run in and 2 in scoring position. Hardy, who has been the best of the Orioles with runners in scoring position this year, gets out ahead of that one, sends it into foul territory. Everybody running, it'll be back into the seats.
Yeah, and Delman Young, because of the difficulty of if they did catch it, he's ready to tag and score. J.J. Hardy trying to get the ball in the air. Had a good pitch to do it. Try to get an RBI. Only one out.
Hardy hitting .326 with runners in scoring position. That's 8th best in the American League. Infield stays drawn in. Walk, struck out, lined out. Young the lead runner. Lowe the pinch runner at second base. Hardy at the knuckler that's up, and 2-2 count.
Now you mentioned Hoyt Wilhelm. I hit off him in Chicago my rookie year when I was 19, and boy, I thought I had every knuckleball centered in, and it just did a little dance. And of course, he ended up in the Hall of Fame, so yeah. It was a pretty good one.
Dance pretty good.
Yeah.
2-2 delivery is going to be popped up. Oriole dugout, and no play. And it will stay 2 balls and 2 strikes as Vasquez gave chase. Orioles really spreading out the runs in the ball game here. 2 in the 3rd, couple more in the 4th, 2 more in the 5th, run here in the 7th, and may not be done yet.
And meanwhile, Chris Tillman just putting up zeros.
2-2. Infield in. Hardy takes it up high. Yeah, that blow when the Orioles got that second home run from Jones in the 5th inning just seemed to really take the air out of the Red Sox, and Tillman throwing strikes, retiring him much quicker than he did earlier in the game. There's the knuckler and gets him.
Yeah, good one. Got it down. Yeah, the ones that have been hit have just been up a little bit, and either it was way out of the zone and get the strikeouts, but I mean, you could see that would go straight down, and Vasquez gives him a nice pitch. Just underneath the bat.
So 2 down, 2 in scoring position. Seattle getting pummeled by Houston tonight, 10-1.
Yeah, they're the best pitching team in the American League.
In that one, Young gave up 7 runs on 8 hits in 3 innings in the start for the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, Chris Young, the 6'10" right-hander.
1-0 count. And a swing and a miss. Walker delivering his major league first.
Yeah, slider, and he hit it. De La Rosa, that look tells everything. I mean, it's a whole, I don't have to say anything.
1 ball, 1 strike, 2 down.
Wow.
And knuckles that one the other way. Kudos to the fan out there. Threw the ball to John Cheedy. The Orioles bullpen coach went over to get it so Walker could have it as a souvenir, and the fan turned it over. That's a nice gesture. 1-2. Orioles RBI by Cruz on the double. Diaz has scored. Young's at third. Lowe at second. 1-2 pitch, and that'll be up and away. De La Rosa, 4 runs, 6 hits over 4. The Red Sox starter. Hambry gave up 2 runs, 2 hits in an inning. Right now he's given up a run. Waiting on the 2-2. Walker will get down to the knuckler. So 4 strikeouts for Wright. The Orioles get a run on 3 hits, leave a couple on. Tillman has the lead extended. Don't you just love funnel cakes?
Trying to win for the 13th time against 5 losses. Very low ERA at the 3.29 coming in. So early on, the home run to Ortiz after the walk on the first, and then on the strike him out, throw him out. Huntley making a really good throw. So all kinds of pitches. Change up down and away to Middlebrooks. High fastball to Mookie Betts. He struggles early, but really settles down. You can see a lot more fastballs tonight. Breaking balls not as much as usual, and then more changeups. So there it is, 7 innings pitched, only the 5 hits, the 2 runs. And your Jiffy Lube pitching change. The Orioles can check this pitching change off their to-do list. Is it a time for you to check oil change off yours? Come into Jiffy Lube and help your vehicle run longer. Well, this guy's helped the Orioles win a lot of games. 7-1. Look at the fastballs. Fastball, slider, changeup pitcher. San Diego acquired in the offseason. Really has pitched well.
Brad Brock will work to Bogarts, Ortiz, and Craig due up here in the 8th inning for the Red Sox. And Brock's pitch outside. Bogarts 0 for 3. Lowe stays in the ball game, right field for Cruz. So De Aza, Jones, and Lowe left to right in the outfield. Bogarts 1-0. He's done well against the Orioles. They check he did go. Ron Culpa down at first base.
Yeah, everybody I talked to, I said, hey, I asked the question, how do you strike out 131 times? And they said sliders. Hardest pitch. In my day, you'd come up, guys that hit an A ball, you get to AA, they throw a few more sliders. Get to AAA, there's a good fastball inside corner, and get to AAA, and then you get to the big leagues. And as you went up, the guys that couldn't hit that pitch, they would find something else to do with their lives.
Bogarts 0 for 1 against Brock. Orioles with this 7-2 lead with 11 hits now. They've out-hit the Red Sox 11-5. And the pitch will be way outside. Chris Tillman, his ERA now against the Red Sox career is 2.64. It is the lowest ERA for any Baltimore pitcher in Oriole history against the Red Sox in the first 15 starts against them. He gets the strikeout. Robin Roberts had a 2.71 ERA against the Red Sox in his first 15. Jim had a 3.34, but Chris 2.64.
Yeah, look at him turn the changeup over. And Bogart's way out in front. But when you throw 93, 95, and then you change speeds like this, a lot of options when you have the good slider. Bogart's over the top of it.
Bring up David Ortiz as Adam Jones refusing to look. That ball put up in the air. Jones coming in. Will say, see, I was perfectly positioned.
Yeah.
And there are 2 down here in the 8th inning. Kids Piece, in partnership with the O's and Buck and Angela Showalter, invite you to run or walk in the 5th annual Kids Piece Trick or Trot 5K, Saturday, November 1 here at Oriole Park. Have your favorite Halloween costume, enjoy a fun course ending right on the field. Prizes awarded to the top runners and age group winners. Proceeds benefit Kids Piece Foster Care and Community Programs of Maryland and Washington, D.C. To register, go visit kidspeace.org/5K run. Here is Craig. A base hit reached on an error and is flied out. Alan Craig 2 down, nobody on in the 8th inning. Oh, 1 delivery by Brock, foul back. So Tillman leaves the game, giving up 2 runs on 5 hits. He has now extended his streak to 20 straight starts, giving up 3 fewer runs, which ties him with Steve Barber for second place on the Orioles all-time list in that regard. Dave McNally, we said the record at 25. Tillman now at 20. 0-2 on Craig. And you'll foul that one over the screen. Craig has faced Brock only once, 0 for 1 against him. Crowd a lot to cheer about tonight. Wanting to see the long ball. The Orioles doing plenty of that. 3 home runs, 2 by Jones. Angels take an early lead over Texas, 1-0. They're underway in Anaheim, 2nd inning. Orioles trying to gain a game, 2.5 off the best mark in the league. Fouled off into the seats. Stays at 2 strikes. Victory for the Orioles in this ball game would give them an 11-7 mark against Boston on the year. As we've mentioned, they've with winning season numbers against all of the Eastern Division teams. Oh, 2-pitch swung on and missed. So Brock comes on, retires the side in order. That's 13 in a row who've gone down for the Red Sox. Earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite, and what a moment it was.
Yeah, third game for Christian Walker. Wasn't going to play. Double the other night. First major league hit. Well, a second major, actually his third, his first home run. Gave the Orioles a lead. High slider. Deep for right center field.
Orioles lead at 7-2 as we go to the Orioles half of the 8th inning. Flaherty, Hundley, and Jonathan Schoop do up. Knuckleballer right on in relief. And we'll work here in the bottom part of the order, which is produced. Flaherty with a double single in the ball game. Orioles out hitting Boston 11-5. Trying to set up the rubber match for this 3-game set tomorrow. Day game, of course, 1 o'clock goes extra, 1:30 for the ball game. Miguel Gonzalez, Joe Kelly to wrap up the Orioles home portion of the regular season.
Yeah, stay tuned for that, because Miguel Gonzalez is really pitching well. Tune up for the postseason, and then really like Joe Kelly. I think it's one of the better trades they've made. Talking about getting that, I think he's 26. Really good arm, great curveball, changeup. Throw ground balls with the best of them.
Kelly's going to face the Orioles for the second time in his last 3 starts. 1 ball, 1 strikeout. Flaherty off the knuckler will foul that one off, and the count will go to 1-2.
Yeah, Wright's done a nice job. There's Bud Norris. He's really pitched well this year. As he said, his last start, even though he's got 14 wins now, an audition for the postseason, wants to make sure he's in the mix.
1-2 delivery, and that goes all the way to the backstop.
A lot of movement. Yeah, that was a little harder knuckleball, the zoom ball.
But Norris not making an error on that one. Clean hands, good glove, good flip.
And he threw it at the horse.
2-2 delivery, and that's a knuckle one with spin to third base. Middlebrooks trying to find a handle, gets it in time. One away here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Interesting to see if Nick Markakis feels well enough tomorrow with that bruised shoulder to get back into the ball game. Only if he feels better, obviously. He'll be in. And Buck Showalter probably will rest 1 or 2 regular starters again tomorrow as he tries to walk this fine line to the playoffs.
Yeah, Nick's been up 621 at bat, so it's going to pick when he wants to come back, when he feels well.
Hundley 0 for 3 in the ball game. Couple of strikeouts. Takes that one for a strike. Didn't think so.
Well, he's seen the strike zone and pretty tight today.
Steve Pearce also, of course, Interested to see if those wrists are okay for him to get back in. Wouldn't be surprised if he had another day off. If it's bothering him, you see he's got that.
Yeah, he got some on the right wrist. I just wonder if I hope it's not a recurring injury of last year, because he had battled those all year long. But he did have the late slide, and it was a terrific slide into first base on the error last night, avoiding the tag. Tommy Hunter getting ready.
2 ball, 1 strike count from Wright. Nick Hundley will loft it foul.
I tell you, Wright has pitched well. I mean, that's what now 4 strikeouts. He did give up a couple of singles, and then the ball that I don't know if Bradley would have caught it. Cruz hit it over his head on the line, so he did give up a run. But it's looks like he might be an inning. It could be a long guy for him as a former starter.
2-2 delivery, and that one will be swung on and missed. He's got 5 strikeouts.
He had 9 in 5 innings against Toronto on the 7th of August, and you just don't get to see it. He gets ahead. This one, you think it may go down, but it just goes up and away, and dancing and darting.
2 down, nobody on. Jonathan Schoop. Jonathan pulled off the suicide squeeze in the 4th inning, laying the perfect bunt down and getting a run in and an RBI. Knuckleballer will bounce for ball 1, I think, unless it hit the bat.
And the score of the game at that time was only 3-2 Orioles. Yep. Double by Flaherty. Hundley got him the 3rd, and then they squeezed him in.
0-1 delivery on the way, and that'll ride inside, and that was the first suicide squeeze the Orioles have used this year.
And it may seem, when you score 7 runs or six other runs, insignificant, but he got the sign. He executed well, something they worked on as you get into the postseason. Everybody out bunting early, so to me, I'm sure it shows Buck Showalter, hey, I got a young player that can do some little things.
That'll be up high, and it came at an important part of the game. As Jim said, it was only a 1-run ball game, made it a 2-run differential, so it mattered. 2 ball, 2 strike count. Schoop will go after it and foul it back. And it'll stay at 2-2. Also, if there's a need, if there's an opening, you get Wright, who can throw effectively if he can. You love having a guy with this kind of stuff in a rotation. It just messes everything up.
It really does.
For opposing teams who have to face the knuckler in a series. Put him in the middle. That one goes all the way to the backstop on ball 4. So the Orioles with 2 down keep it going here. 2 walks were surrendered by De La Rosa, the starter, now 1 by Wright. And that will give Alejandro De Aza another chance. De Aza base hit in the 7th inning. 5-game hit streak now for him. 1 for 3 in the ball game, and 4 for 8 in these 2 games. Runner on first, 2 down. Knuckler's there, first strike. One delivery on the way, and that's a big swing and a miss. Foul tip, says the home plate umpire. 0-2. Delivery on the way. That'll be outside. Jonathan Schoop is on. This is the pitch where he walked, but there weren't 4 balls.
Okay. I thought it was 2-2.
So with a knuckler, you only need 3 balls to walk.
Yeah. New rules.
1-2 delivery on the way. Not reviewable, by the way. And that's fouled off. I do think Jonathan Schoop, according to our pitch count there, only had he had a 3-2 count.
A 2-2 count.
2-2, yes.
Yeah, 2-2.
And it should have been.
Yeah, that should have been 3-2.
3-2. But nobody got it, so he's on with a 3-ball walk. This game gets harder and harder to follow. Here's 1 ball, 2 strike delivery on the way, and that will be away.
Well, yeah, that's kind of amazing, though. I mean, if you're pitching, you kind of know what the count is. If you're Christian Vasquez, you kind of should know what the count is. The umpire should know what the count is. But that just didn't happen.
2-2 delivery. And he gets it. It's called third strike. So Wright gets 6 strikeouts. The Orioles get a 3-ball walk. And they'll go to the 9th inning, trying to put this one away. 7-2. Baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Without a heart, it's just a machine. And by Coons, when you're talking cars, you're talking Coons. Gary Thorne, Jim Palmer, Orioles leading by a score of 7-2, 3 outs away from putting away victory number 93. Tommy Hunter to pitch.
Yeah, fastball, curveball pitcher. You know, he used to throw a lot of cutters. That's a thing of the past. Dave Wallace, Tom Cheedy, the pitching coaches, said you don't need it. 2-seam fastball instead. He's really done a nice job for him. Closer at the beginning of the year. They went to Zach Britton, who also pitching lights out. But the whole bullpen has just been outstanding. Tommy, a big part of it. Assumed the role that he did last year, which is a setup guy. So can pitch multiple innings, and actually, everybody used to say that, well, if he gets into the second inning, he doesn't pitch as well. His numbers go down this year. So O'Day, Brock, they can give you multiple innings. So you have some guys that can give you a little bit of length. There's Dom Cheedy.
Co-pitching coach, as Dave Wallace likes to refer to him as, works the bullpen. So the Orioles try and finish this off. Yes. Right now he'd get the votes of Baltimore. Probably not the rest of the American League East.
Don't they like him in New York, though?
Oh, yeah. Here's Daniel Nava, and Nava will take the pitch for a strike. Nava's picked up a base hit. He is 1 for 3 in the ball game. Couple of hits, 6 at bats here in the first 2 games of this series. Nava hitting about 268 now against the Orioles this season. 0-1 pitch to him is inside. These 2 teams wrap up their season series tomorrow. Tommy Hunter just trying to wrap this one up right now. Nava 4 for 9 with a home run. Lifetime off Hunter. And the 1-1 delivery. That'll be inside to him.
Yeah, who needs a cut fastball when you can throw 97? And the one now, if we go according to form, this will just be a 2-seam fastball outside portion of the plate. You see Humlin's going to encourage him right there. The outside third of the plate.
2-1 delivery. Yep. Ground ball will go to Scope. Will backhand it. Uses that big arm to get it over there. And 1 down, 9th inning. Join us again tomorrow. The Orioles wrap up this final homestand of the regular season. Miguel Gonzalez on the mound against Joe Kelly. Our coverage on MASN at 1. O's Extra, presented by Geico, followed by game coverage at 1:30. All the access you need right here on MASN. One down here in the 9th inning. Castillo up. He is 0 for 3. Robbed of a hit by Flaherty on a fine play at third base in his last at bat. And the pitch inside. That's 14 Red Sox hitters in a row who have been retired. Their last base runner was Vasquez, who picked up a single in the 4th inning with 2 down. Red Sox have not had a base runner since the 4th. 1-0 pitch, raised his arms, but the pitch was there.
Well, the Orioles can beat you a lot of ways. They can beat you with their starting pitching. They can beat you with their bullpen. They can beat you with their defense. They can beat you with the home run ball.
Tommy Hunter, the 1-1 delivery on the way and late on the swing and fouled off. Let's take a look at this date in baseball history. Apropos, we've been talking about the knuckleball or right throwing. On this date, September 20, 1980, Steve Stone tied the Orioles record for most wins in a season as he picked up his 24th, matched the totals of Mike Cuellar and Dave McNally. And in 1958, Hoyt Wilhelm no-hit the Yankees on Gus Triando's home run, a 1-0 win. Wilhelm, of course, one of the great knuckleball pitchers of all time. Ball in the air to center. That's going to fall in for a base hit, and we'll break that no base runner streak. This one in the 9th inning with 1 away, and the first for Castillo.
Yeah, the Red Sox will like that because he's late on the fastball, made a nice adjustment, got on top of it.
He's on for Jackie Bradley Jr., who is 0 for 3.
Yeah, the point I was trying to make about Bradley Jr. is that what I noticed when Al Bunbury had great minor league numbers and he would hit .337 and be Rookie of the Year, but Al didn't try to hit home runs but could hit some home runs. I think his career high was 9. He could steal bases. Probably not as good an outfielder early on as Bradley, but turned himself into a terrific one. So he just, I don't know if it was Vietnam being a platoon leader, he just had a little more maturity, and he really came fast, and you knew what you were getting, and he knew what he could give you. Didn't overswing. He was kind of a left field hitter that could use the whole field. And you never saw the big high leg kick from Al Bunbury.
And that lash down the line is foul, and a little inside out swing right there by Bradley, but again he couldn't get around on it, and the count goes to 0-2. That'll send Castillo back to first base. Tommy Hunter looking to preserve the win. Tillman's going to be 13-5. De La Rosa will take the loss. He will be 4-8, non-save situation. 0-2 delivery. Bradley lets it go by. 1 ball, 2 strike count from Hunter. Orioles will improve to 11-7 against Boston with 1 more game left in the season series tomorrow. And this homestand, they'll be 7-2. Pitch fastball up high. 2 ball, 2 strike count. Two delivery by Hunter, and a little squibbler goes to short. Barehanded. Oh, what a play made by Hardy.
Well, I tell you, Bogaerts hit it early. Fabulous play. And this one, because of the spin, even more difficult. Little curveball, he just cues right there, right off the fist. I don't know. You don't see J.J. Hardy do this very often because he usually doesn't need to. Only way you can make this play. And that, again, was not an easy play.
And a speedster in Bradley going down the line. 2 down.
And then a perfect throw to get him.
Runner at second base, 1 out away from the victory. Middlebrooks will take the pitch for a strike. Middlebrooks a base hit, a walk, and he has struck out in the ball game. Fans up, applauding for the W. Fouled off, 0-2. Orioles after their 50th home win. 0-2 delivery, and that'll be up high.
You know, for all these years, Gary, you'd always say, well, how do the Orioles have a home field advantage, or do they? Teams like to come in here. So if they win tonight, they will have won 31 of their last 40 games at home after starting out 19 and 21. What a run that is.
1-2 delivery, and that's the ball game. Tommy Hunter comes on and gets the strikeout, and this one is over. Ninth inning, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and a base runner left on. The Orioles pick up the victory. Tillman 2 runs, 5 hits over 7. Brock nothing over 1. Hunter works the inning, giving up just a single. And for the Orioles, victory number 93 on the year. There's your final. The Orioles 7 and the Red Sox 2.